Hey, welcome everybody. We're now live on YouTube. We're on here in Discord in the politics Discord, and I'm here with Today David. What's up, David?
Hey,
So tell us what we're doing today.
so today we are with the Flat Earth server trying to discuss uh, why Flat Earth is important to people and how we can go about knowing it too. Um, and our goal is to do it in a style of like street epistemology, in that we're here to ask questions. We're here to uh, understand the methods of how we get somewhere, as opposed to just trying to make arguments or make a win lose situation. Our goal is to we all understand better in the future. So uh, if you're in the Discord audience, put your hand up, and we will bring you up on the stage. We'll talk it out. We want to understand why you would come and why you want people to know the Earth is flat. Why is that important to you? And we'll go from there. Yeah, we do YouTube. Pierce and I both have channels where we interview people, and we also do this weekly call-in show on a few different Discord channels.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We've been doing it for a few weeks now. I don't know how long we've been doing it. We've done quite a few shows. I love doing it. Just want to say, like, this isn't a debate. We don't really do debates. Um, we like to just really explore, why it's important to you, perhaps why, how you've come to your conclusion, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized my camera wasn't turned on in Discord, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah, nice guys. Well, welcome to the politics server and welcome to the 24/7 Flat Earth room. We're really happy to have you in here.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
How long have you been doing this room, AJ?
I've been in this room since it opened. I think we've been in here close to 12 months in the politics server now.
And what's your experience been like in a 24/7 flat Earth room?
We get all types of people in here, yeah. We get people who are genuinely interested and just want to know our position and where we stand on the subject. And then, of course, we always get the trolls that want to come in and really don't have any type of evidences to present or any type of logical argument. They just want to troll the flat earthers.
Sure. Feels like there's a troll for every occasion. It's
Yeah.
They need to have like, well, I guess that'd be the show Trolls maybe. But great. And it looks like we do have somebody with their hand up. And if Pierce, if you're good, I think I'm ready to start asking some people some questions.
Absolutely.
There's a text channel also. Someone asked, there is no way this is real. What makes you guys think the earth is flat? So if you could also, while we wait for eye level to come up the stage.
Well, I mean, a lot of people have different views on things. And our position today is to try to talk about the method of how we can discover if the earth is flat or round, and why people talk about it. Why is it important to even talk about? So
Generally, what we say here in the politics server, when people ask that question, we say the earth is observably flat and stationary. It's observably measured as flat and stationary. And it's practically used as flat and stationary. The logical conclusion of that is both flat and stationary. Yeah, eye level up. If you're on the phone, there'll be a second pop-up that you have to click.
give him just one more
He's able
second here.
to do that.
Yeah, so you'll raise your hand. Oh, it's not letting you accept. Okay. Because on the phone is a little weird. Like it's sort of counterintuitive.
I've had it where it glitches out on my phone sometimes too. Sometimes closing Discord and bringing it back up can help with that. I don't know if it will help in this circumstance.
Okay, he's gonna put his hand down and rearrange it. I'll just invite you.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. He left. Okay, he's back. So there, I just sent you an invite. So let's see if that changes it.
Yeah, I've sent him an invite too. I can't move him.
Mm.
Okay. Anyone else who's in the audience, feel free to put your hand up if you'd like to chat while we get that technical issue hopefully fixed.
Yeah, it's a Discord wide thing. A lot of the times on these events, people on phones have a problem getting up on the stage.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we've run into it a couple times. It happens, you know. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
So we get Master Sheldon, like, come up. He's the one who said there's no way. There's no way. Yeah, there's a way, dude.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I level up. I think we got him.
There we go.
Figured it
got
out.
him.
Hello?
Hello.
What's up?
Welcome to the stage. How you doing tonight?
Doing all right.
Cool.
Yeah, so one reason why Flat Earth is super important is, like, you guys actually believe the government is spending billions of dollars to send rockets to nowhere as millions of children are starving to death on the Earth right now. So even if outer space was real, this whole space program is the most criminal misuse of resources you could possibly imagine. There is no rebuttal. You'll never actually address or defend the space program. It's a crime to defend it.
George Carlin said it very simply that he called them nassholes, a special type of social criminal. He did a whole stand-up skit on how the space program is not this like gem of American exceptionalism. It's garbage.
I would say this also. I think Flat Earth. I'm not really a Flat Earther. Like, I think Flat Earth is a psyop, but you guys aren't even at that level yet. It's like, it's just like Flat Earth is its own deception. But yeah.
I'd like to understand your position and, you know, how you arrived there and, you know, obviously why it's important, like you just stated.
Well, I have researched government psyops, and there's a ton of deceptions. And, you know, eventually you just realize that every piece of information about outer space is coming from a government agency, NASA, which was founded by Nazis and Satanists, Scientologists, and you can't actually personally verify any of the claims. So everything they say is a cartoon that you have to look at on a screen, and it's coming from the government. The same people who blow up buildings and, you know, lie about absolutely everything, but there's this vast expanse above us and infinite resources that we need to explore as the government is simultaneously murdering its own population every single way they can. So we need to go and explore space, but they're killing everybody at the same time. It makes a lot of sense, right?
I think I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying. So, all the
I
information
think Flat
that
Earth is a psyop, though. Sorry, good.
Can you explain that a little bit more? You mean psychological operation, right? When you say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the
And
dude who popularized it, Eric Dubé, is actually a government agent, and there's a lot of evidence. But the main reason would be that, you know, Earth is not actually flat because there's hills and stuff. So the term flat Earth is just blatantly incorrect on its face, but that's not really the main point. It would be that the Bible says that Earth takes shape like clay under a seal, and flat isn't a shape. This is, flat earthers can't address this. They just get dunked on repeatedly. This is another just humiliation of the Globers, where it's like, it takes me 5 seconds to expose every flat earther, something the Globers couldn't do for years. They're talking to flat earthers every day for years, And the flat earthers literally freak out at me when I say our hill's flat.
They
Yeah.
freak out
Yes, they lose their minds.
when you say, did I hear this right? Hills are flat?
No, I'm like, I'm gonna debate a flat earther, and I just say, are hills flat? And they just go, no, I'm not doing that. Let's just pretend that they are. Like, they just lose their minds. Obviously, the earth does have a shape. Flat isn't a shape. So we don't know what the shape is. It doesn't mean the earth is flat just because it's not a globe. It's a deception. It makes you feel like you actually know what the earth is when you don't. It's another ego trip thing, just like globe earth.
Okay. So we got, let me try to repeat back what I think I'm hearing. So we have all this evidence, but all the evidence, or maybe evidence isn't the right word, all this information that we have comes from government agencies. And because they're coming from this government agency, they have like this, it's only coming from one side, like it's a little bit biased. So therefore we...
It's not that. It's that it's unverifiable. And they'll literally tell you on their website, NASA says that all their pictures of a globe Earth are CGI flat maps that they constructed and wrapped around a ball. And the artist tells you it's photoshopped, it has to be. So when they show you a picture of a globe Earth, the government showing you unverifiable space pictures, they literally admit they have to use Photoshop. So we can't actually verify this shit that they all admit is fake. And then when you actually go outside and test the earth and measure it, turns out bodies of water, just like the water in your cup, swimming pool, a lake, it's all the same thing. Like an ocean is just a giant swimming pool.
What would something verifiable look like?
Like something you could go outside and test.
But is there anything that you would trust another source to verify for you?
Yeah, like another person doing something that I could do.
Say hypothetically, if the rockets went into space and the satellites were in space, and they were getting these broad images of a large Earth that was round and...
Okay, hypothetically, if it was real, would it be real?
How would you
That's the
know?
question.
Like how would you know if it was real or not?
Like what specifically?
Is there a photo, or is there a measurement or something that you would accept that would raise your confidence to say, okay, maybe this globe situation is more true, or maybe this flat situation is more true? What kind of evidence would you look for?
There would have to be like many videos and just measurements done by individuals that prove that there's like curved bodies of water. But that's not how physics works, so it's not going to happen. Just a joke. Like it's just another... They literally tell you that everything you experience isn't real. This is another thing. They tell you that, the earth as we experience it isn't moving. They tell you it is. They tell you the earth is moving over 1 million miles per hour. You actually don't experience that. But if you believe that, you then believe that reality is something you don't experience. And it allows you to be, deceived in other ways, because you'll believe like you can actually experience reality. So they'll tell you things that you don't experience, and you'll believe it because you think nothing is real. Like, this sounds stupid to someone who isn't in this conversation. Like, you go up to a normie and you just say like, yeah, I don't experience the motion of the earth, so it's not moving. I don't feel the earth move, so it's not moving. That sounds stupid to someone who doesn't know about this topic, but that's the truth. So when you realize that, it's easier to understand everything about reality because you just realize that, yeah, what you experience is real. Your senses aren't lying to you. The government is lying to you. Shocker.
If the world was different, if the government was more transparent and you saw a different world in this way, how do you think life would be different for you?
If the government didn't lie about the Earth,
Or yeah, or if you had a way to verify the information, one of the two.
Well, we would have more money because we wouldn't be wasting money on this fake space program. It would be much easier to understand everything, including health, which we're gonna just pretend that thing that they did a couple years ago didn't happen. All of these vaccines they give to people, I don't know if we could talk about this, but everything in the health is also a psyop, so that would all disappear too. It basically fundamentally distorts everything about reality. So this lie just perverts everything, destroys children. You know, you want to just keep shilling for it, but this is a fact.
If there was someone who was completely neutral, and this is a hypothetical because, like, let's be real, probably there is no neutral person. But if there was somebody who knew nothing about either side, what would be the best way for them to come to a conclusion? What method would they use?
Well, you would have to explain to them the globe, and they would just be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like if you just went up to some islander who's was never taught the Earth as a globe, they would just think the Earth is what they experience. So you'd be like, "No, no, the Earth is actually moving," and they would just be like, "What are you talking about?" Like you would have to explain this whole system that is completely contradictory to everything that's experienced. So that would be difficult to do. The only reason why you think it's normal is because they told you this as a child. So it's like you just feel like it's just, a normal belief. It's not.
Okay. I'm hearing you. Yeah, so it sounds like the kind of like the default assumption should be that the Earth is not a globe. I don't know exactly how you describe it, but that's okay. I don't think that's important.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. If someone wanted to conduct some sort of test to figure it out, let's say they didn't know, like they heard globe and they're like, maybe, and maybe they heard flat and maybe they're
Yeah.
like, maybe. Yeah, what would they do to figure that out?
Um, I would say that you would have to like research the arguments a little bit, and then you would have to make your own observations because you could talk about it all day on Discord and it's not going to prove anything. You have to actually understand what you would be experiencing on a globe and then go outside and actually just look at the Earth. And you will know for a fact that it's not what they say it is. So you can make your own observations, and that's what you should do.
Okay. When you're looking to make these observations, like what specifically do you look for?
Um, you could observe like a hot air balloon just floating for 20 minutes in the same spot, and the Earth isn't spinning underneath it. You could do long distance observations of things that should be hidden behind Earth curvature. Like there should be a, curved body of water obstructing something in the distance. You could just look and see the thing in the distance. There is no curve. These are some examples.
Okay. If someone were to make some of these observations and come to the conclusion that the Earth was actually a globe, uh, why do you think they'd come to that conclusion?
Um, well, I've seen, hundreds of these observations, and they all have to say it's refracted. And it looks like the Earth is flat. This is the current globe cope. They say literally everything we observe is an illusion, but the flat earthers won't accept evidence. So, I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point.
Okay. That's okay.
Why do you think how do you think you came to a different conclusion than everyone else?
I didn't. The thing is, everybody who actually looks into it is they just become a flat earther. Like it's pretty obvious. The only people who are globers are paid shills, full like literal Satanists. I've debated this for like 6 years, and I've debated globers, and they do the same thing where they repeat a question. They go, "Oh, but like you didn't explain sunsets. Explain sunsets. How does the sun set on a flat Earth? You didn't explain it." You explain it to them 30 times, and they just keep repeating themselves. And you hang out with these people a little bit, and you have different conversations, and eventually they'll reveal that they actually worship Satan. I'm not making this up. This has happened many times where they start giving a sophisticated answer about how Satan's actually the good one and God is evil and they're just some psychotic evil person. I'm not making this up. These are all
I'm
the
sure you
people
met someone
shilling
like
for a globe. I've actually talked to a guy on here who
Not sure it's everyone, but I'm sure you've met
no,
someone
it's a
like
lot.
that.
It's a lot of people. I've also talked to this one dude who said that he was literally a paid shill and he was getting paid to shill for a globe on Discord. And I talked to him like a year before. He was like saying globe arguments. I talked to him a year later and he was like, yeah, the earth is flat. He was just telling me he's a flat earther. He was like, oh yeah, when I talked to you, I was getting paid. And he sent me like a website and how to sign up for it and all this stuff. There's paid shills.
Why
There's
don't you post that
Satanists.
in the Discord?
This is
so we
why
can
they
sign up
lied
and give
about it
money?
in the first place. So they made this up in the first place because there's evil Satanists lying to children. So the people shilling for a globe on Discord, when you fucking just dominate these people over and over, and they come back the next day like they didn't hear anything you said. These people are not intellectually honest people.
How would we
So
know
what you guys
if
believe is that the flat earthers are all crazy and intellectually dishonest. You believe there's
I
a
don't believe
community
that.
of crazy, dishonest people who can't figure out the truth.
I don't think
But
that at
it's
all.
not. There's no opposite side to that, right?
No, we didn't say that.
Yeah, I don't think that at all. I don't
Okay.
think you're
Well,
being I don't think you're any of those things. I think you're being very genuine right now.
yeah.
I'll be honest. I'm not personally convinced of the flat Earth yet, but I'm not staunchly against being convinced, if that makes sense. At this
Yeah.
time, I just I mean, again, I'll admit it is what I grew up hearing, and it seems to be what the evidence that I've seen points to. Just to be candid there, but at the same time, I'm not someone who I get, some of the things that you say, there are important things there is dishonesty in communication in different ways. There are ways that people take advantage of other people. All these things can be true, and it's still not be the full picture. And that's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. I mean, the evidence is irrefutable. Like the actual arguments, there's no debate. So the fact that there is a debate means that there's people lying. So is it the people who are going against the government and against the mainstream system and actually defending children, or is it the people defending the criminal space program and the criminal ass government that's lied for, decades? They're spending billions of dollars on rockets to nowhere.
In every single
We're
debate,
lying, or they are. What?
in every single debate like that there's ever been, is there one side that's lying and trying to be deceptive? Not just on the Earth,
Not
the
at
flat
no.
Earth. Okay,
But it happens a lot.
it happens a lot. Okay, does it happen every single time?
No.
Okay.
There's a ton of people who just believe a globe, and they're just like, "What are you talking about?" Like, they just think we're crazy.
How do you tell the difference between somebody who's being genuine and who's
Um,
potentially being deceitful?
I don't really care about that. I mean, I don't care. I don't talk to Glovers like on the regular, so I just troll them. So
If
All right. Well,
everybody
we have a
came
few
around,
other.
one more
Sorry, I was
question,
going to say
and I'll wrap up here with here. If everybody came around and dropped the globe mentality, what do you think would be the next thing you'd focus on next?
Well, I've already moved on. The thing that I'm focusing on now is like nutrition and health, which there's way more deceptions than cosmology. So
Hmm.
everyone's about to die, even if you, yeah, whatever. It's too much to get into. So
Yeah, maybe another time.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate
Thanks
you
for
coming
coming
up.
up. Yeah, appreciate it.
Cool. Sorry to interrupt, guys. I was just going to say we have a few more guys here with their
No,
hands
yeah,
up.
appreciate you.
We've got UNTV. He's probably been waiting the longest.
Hmm.
Bring
We
him
want to
up.
bring him up.
Bring them up.
Absolutely. Hey, there he is.
Well, hi. I prepared some questions for you.
Sure.
So here they are. Why will the government want to, you know, make us believe that the Earth is a sphere?
Why would the government want to make us believe that the Earth is a sphere? Is that what I heard? Did I hear that correctly?
Your audio's a little cutting out there. Sorry.
The Earth is a sphere.
Okay, I think I got the question right. I think there's quite a few possibilities for that. One possibility is that it is a sphere and it's educational. That would be one possibility. What are some other possibilities? They could be doing it for some other reason. They might have some sort of gain to get out of being deceptive. I'm not sure personally what that gain might be. Maybe if people
think-
would go to another planet or something, and if they
And
think
there's some
that it's
theory
a
that there's
global
some like hidden
hidden sure,
resources, basically. There's a
yeah, it's an option, I suppose.
yeah.
Something else.
Now about that, you got me thinking. I have a theory.
Let's hear it.
Well, I'm not a flat earther, but well, you already talked about the space program. That is a waste of money, you know. So they could be just washing money with this.
Could be washing money. Yeah, that's a possibility. That's what the other guy was just speaking on in a lot of ways too. I think. Whether or not the Earth is flat or a globe, I think we can all agree that the government probably fleeces a lot of money. I think we all agree on that, no matter what we think. I think we all agree. Anybody can
Yeah,
obviously step in.
as a flat earther in this room, we get this question a lot, guys. This is one of the biggest questions that comes up to us is why would they lie to us? Why would they tell us that we're on this ball if we're really on this flat topographical plane? And I suppose the best answer we can give is almost a question. Why do liars lie? Yeah, we don't understand their motive all the time. We understand that, usually there's some sort of benefit or gain to the person that's being dishonest, but it's only something we can speculate on as flat earthers. So we generally try to stick with things that we can prove physically in reality rather than speculate on what this government's doing, what that person's doing, why would that person lie to us? Or, is that person a government shill? Is he paid to be here? All those things really don't come into it for most flat earthers. It's sticking to the facts of what we can see. So I hope that it helps answer the question, UNTV.
Another
And
thing,
another question.
yeah, one more quick on that too, is that NASA is part of the executive branch of the federal government. It is tied at the hip to the Department of Defense. All the astronauts, high-grade military officers, the headquarters of NASA, Redstone Army Arsenal in Alabama, Cape Canaveral Air Force, like Space Force Station. So, this is part of that military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned you about. Eisenhower, the same guy who signed NASA into law. That these are about weapons. These missiles, these rockets, they're delivery systems for weapons. It's been that way since, like the last caller said, von Braun and Operation Paperclip. They wanted the best weaponiers and missileers to work at NASA. It is quite a coincidence, isn't it? Like, where's this peaceful exploration of space? When's that going to happen?
Perhaps we'll want to come back to that at some point. That sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It might be something to explore. But
Mhm.
UNTV, you got the stage right now.
Now,
Yes.
another question is, if the Earth were flat, according to you, what is the map of the Earth?
You're speaking like, are you looking for an answer? Like, what are the continents? Like, where are they? Their placement, that kind of thing?
Just like, how do they look like? How does it look like? Because depending on the map, there could be a lot of changes. Like, for example, the flights or how the time works.
Okay. So, if I were to believe that the Earth was flat, what would it look like? What would that be like? I'm not sure how to answer that question.
I don't know if you
There's a
want
number of
some help
different
from us here.
models on Google and everything, or on your search engines in that way. In fact, I think one of the better potential convincers, I think, that for people would be, and somebody designed this and send it so I can send it to people I know and talk about it. I'd love to see a side by side flight path tracker thing. I'd like a computer generated, because you have the globe models that they'll send you. I'm curious to see if they could do a side by side. I think that'd be really interesting, and I think that'd get a lot of people scratching their heads. Just a side note.
All right.
Yeah.
UNT. Oh, I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's okay.
Okay. You asked a couple questions. I would like to ask a question for you now. So let's say we got
Okay.
flat Earth right here, globe Earth on the side, and this is similar to the question I asked earlier. If there's someone who's neutral and doesn't know which side to go with, uh, what would be the best way for them to go about figuring it out? What are they gonna look for?
Well, I mean, I think there could be the two things. First, about just science and the gravity and all of that, but that is more difficult to prove. So, I think an easier way is, for example, in a mountain or in the Burj Khalifa, for example. In the Burj Khalifa, when you go to the top, it's a different time that in the bottom. It could be night at the first floor, and then you go up with the elevator, and the sun is still there. And that wouldn't make sense in a flat Earth. I think so.
I didn't quite grasp that concept, and that's probably my fault.
Your micro's kind of going
Yeah,
in and out there.
I
Yeah, I
mean
think what
that.
he was trying to explain, guys, was that on the Wes Khalifa Tower, I think he said that when he goes to the top, it can be still daylight, but halfway down can be still dark. And he would like to know why that would occur on a flat Earth.
Yeah, I mean, uh, well, if the sun works like I think it works in the flat Earth depictions, that wouldn't make sense.
Okay, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. When you said Wiz Khalifa, I think that's what you said. I only know that as a rapper, so that got me totally confused.
Oh,
right
Wes
off the
Khalifa.
bat.
I might have missed that, guys. I might have missed it
Oh,
wrong, but Wes, something Khalif building.
Fair enough. It's a tall building. We can go with that. It's all good. So I think what I'm hearing is at the top of the building, it might be still a lot of light coming into the building. And then as you go down, there's like less light coming into the building, so it's like darker inside. I'm not. I've never really heard of that before. If I'm completely honest, what alternative um, uh,
Explanation.
conclusions could we come to? Like one conclusion might be that the Earth is flat. What other scenarios might there be that could lead to that phenomena?
Another scenario. Well, just in the Earth, in the round Earth, if the Earth is a sphere. Well, at night. Uh, wait a second. I need to organize myself.
Please do so. That's fine.
After this this back and forth right here, I think we'll go up to the next caller.
Okay, so it looks like the next person that's had their hand up for quite some time was T. Where are we? T reverse.
Well, so here's the tall building. You know.
It's taking time to
And
load for me.
Yeah, it's not loading for me either. If you want to just explain it, that would be helpful.
so you're in a sphere that is the Earth, yeah, and you're on the top. Let's say on the top on that moment. So, well, if you were a little bit to the east, you know, there will be less light because you will be lower in comparison to the sun. So here's the sun. And it just shines right here.
It's not
Yeah.
loading for me there.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
it's
on
not
TV.
yeah.
One more question for you, actually, before we move to the next one. Why do you think someone who believes in flat Earth would not think that was evidence for them?
Well, I don't really know, but I guess they will like make a theory about how the sun works. So you know, in the flat Earth depictions that I know, and when I debated with a flat earther, and the sun was like above a disk that was the Earth, and that doesn't make sense with this phenomenon. So maybe the sun will go in the flat Earth in the flat Earth depiction. The sun will go well like a little bit up sometimes and like down some other times. You know, like when in the flat Earth depiction that I know, it just like floats above the Earth, but here it may have a different orbit, more or less.
So what we're discussing here is the depiction that we're given by the Flat Earth Society. So the Flat Earth Society, I'm not sure who's in charge of it or why they're there, but they put out some of these crazy pictures, in regards to the flat Earth just replacing the globe in this heliocentric model, still rotating around the sun. You know, they present other things like the Earth moving upward at a certain pace, all things that can't be substantiated. But, generally flat earthers, when we're not stating that we're a disk in space, We're not giving a shape of the Earth. We're just giving a description of the Earth that we can test and see. Yeah. So, UNTV, thank you, but we would love to have you in our server to come and listen in and learn a little bit more about flat Earth. But I think we've also got some other people here waiting to speak now as well. I think.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming up. Post the name of that building in the chat here, or the YouTube channels for later, and we'll talk to you later on.
Right on.
Thanks, AJ.
No worries. And we have T reverse or cross reverse with us.
Yeah, just reverse Camus.
Camus.
Hey.
Hey, welcome.
Hey. Yeah, it looks like you got some people who are actually familiar with the flat Earth topic up here with you. Yeah, I wasn't quite sure about the intent of this, but yeah, I guess in responding to why flat Earth is important to me, obviously it's not. I'm a globetard, but I guess I respect it to the extent for its epistemic search for the truth. Like they just see everything in front of us looking flat, and they just to go every other story that doesn't align with that, they say that lost my train of thought. It adhere to what we see, so they say that like the globe Earth's not true, and it's just this commitment to this extreme skepticism, which I can respect it to that extent, but it just doesn't make sense to me. But I guess in terms of the claim that always gets me with the flat earthers that I've never really heard a response to. I don't really go into the channel too much because it's just full of people and people talking over each other. But the Aristophanes experiment with like the two very long sticks that he put in two different places, and he measured the shadows at different times, and it turns out that the angles of the shadows were different, and he used that to calculate the circumference of the Earth. And this was like pre-Christ, and the official story is that we've known that the Earth is oblate spheroid pretty much since then, and I've never really heard a response to that. I was wondering if there were any traditional flat Earth responses to that.
You'd like a response to Eratosthenes?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No worries. Are you guys happy for me to do that, or you just want to have a chat about Eratosthenes first with him further?
Yeah, I think.
Quick question: If you found a satisfactory answer to Eratosthenes' experiment, if you that seemed to meet all your epistemic needs and all that, do you feel as though you would still be in your same opinion on the globe versus flat?
Absolutely. I'd still believe that the Earth is a globe. Like, I just see that maybe they have an alternate explanation, like, I guess involving how the sun like rotates above the flat Earth. I guess that's the way that they tackle it. But I don't know. I've just seen pictures of the flat Earth. Flat Earthers would say it's like a composite, but yeah, it's gonna take me a lot longer to than debunking one point. But I'm still interested approach the Aristophanes experiment.
Well, let me ask you: is there something that would be a major head scratcher? Something that would say, you know, if there was something that explained this, I think my confidence would change. at least a little, maybe not fully convinced. But what do you have anything that comes to mind when I say that?
Just someone getting like a hot air balloon and like flying up so high that they can take a picture of the ice walls that are keeping the water in on the flat Earth, or like I don't know. I saw one thing in TikTok where past the ice walls is just more land. I don't know exactly what version of flat Earth these people fall into up here, but yeah, an actual picture of people going up high and showing that there isn't really curvature there, because I don't know, I've just seen people talk about like going up in these military airplanes, and like they're like, we can literally see the curvature of the Earth when you're up that high, and that seems to just show that the Earth is a globe. But also, every time I've heard about it, it's a celebrity. So if it is this grand conspiracy to just say that the Earth is a globe, of course the celebrities are going to say that it's a globe. So I don't know. Playing a bit of devil's advocate there.
Yeah. I mean, if you saw
You've
a
raised
picture,
a lot of points. Sorry, I was saying he's raised a lot of
yeah, go for it,
points all in one. Yeah, for sure.
if you saw a picture of the ice walls from a hot air balloon, how would you know that it's real, and what would it take to convince you that it was legitimate?
I guess I'd have to see a continuous video of the feed of it going up. Like, I guess at this point with AI, like being able to create these realistic videos, I guess theoretically some really creative flat earther could just fake a feed showing him go up, them going really high and like showing the ice walls. But I don't think anyone would go to that extent to prove the flat Earth. To flat earthers, it's just, or at least I think it's just this demonstratable idea.
How about like in the text chat you had posted Terry Thatcher's Discworld with the disc of the Earth being held up by elephants on a sea turtle. Where did that come into your mindscape? How were you able to somehow take a complete work of fantasy like Lord of the Rings and then apply that to someone else's worldview? What was your process that you went through to get there?
I don't know. It was a bit of trolling there, like this flat Earth view. Like as someone who's raised believing the globe is the truth, like you're gonna joke about it because the flat Earth, like to someone who, I guess you can argue that, I mean, Plato's allegory of the cave, they'd make fun of the idea of a flat Earth if the globe Earth just seems to be an inevitable conclusion to how things are. But I was talking to one of my friends, and he basically said that this whole flat Earth thing came from a series of novels. I don't think it was Terry Pratchett. Terry Pratchett did Discworld, the flat Earth.
Yeah, that's what you
flying
posted
on
there.
a turtle. Yeah,
That's
the flat
Discworld.
Earth. Floating on a turtle. I thought that was a D&D world thing. Terry Pratchett was specifically the idea that that's a disc. I don't know.
I'd really like to concentrate on the epistemology here, and I think we might be striving a little bit or getting a little bit away from that.
Well, if I could, I'd like to maybe address just some of the questions he'd actually put forward originally, just so that you do have a flat Earth perspective, if that's okay. We've had Eratosthenes, ice wall, further land, and plane seeing curvature. They were the 3 points that were made. Would you like to hear something from the flat Earth side?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I came on. I'll mute myself while you talk.
Pierce, Tudo David, you guys all right with that? It's your show.
I mean, I'm open for it. He did mention basically he could hear those things and it wouldn't convince him. So I was kind of wanting to drill down to understand what is the more foundational epistemology in his mindset. But for the audience, for everybody else, I mean, you're welcome to share your parts on that. But if you can make it brief, please.
Yeah, no worries. So Eratosthenes, so he brought up that Eratosthenes had measured the curvature of the Earth. Now, this is something that we've been asking for a long time. Someone who can actually show us a measurement of drop over distance required for the curvature and the claimed radius, okay? Eratosthenes, like he said, was around before Christ. We have no primary documentation on Eratosthenes to prove that this guy even existed or did what he did. It's only in recent times that this has come out into the public and into the schooling system. But firstly, what he's done is he's measured 2 angles requiring a flat plane. Yeah, we have shadow angles. An angle is 2 straight lines meeting at a vertex that he's measuring on the ground. Secondly, he wasn't trying to measure a drop over distance. He had a presupposed idea that the Earth was already a ball. So what he was doing was taking those shadow angle measurements. He was then reifying that back into a ball, or calculating a radius and circumference based on his knowledge or belief that it was already a ball. So he never actually measured direct curvature. And then he made some big assumptions in there as well, such as an infinite distance to the sun, parallel light rays, etc. Now, this is something that we can set up on a smaller scale and show you that if there's a light above something, then it's not going to cast a shadow. However, something off in the distance is going to cast a shadow. So, and my last point, it actually isn't an experiment. It's just a test, because he had no hypothesis. He had no independent variables, no dependent variables. There was no experiment that took place. He stuck 2 sticks in wells and measured some shadow angles to calculate a circumference. Okay, and ice wall. Now, this is something that is a bit trolly as well, yeah, because this is what gets brought up a lot. Well, show us your ice wall. Okay, now, we don't claim an ice wall. What we would state is that we know that bodies of water need to be contained. Okay, so we have a swimming pool, it has an edge. We have a lake, it has a shoreline. We have the oceans. The oceans are going to require a shoreline. Now, some of that land is going to be different topography. Some of it's going to be flatter, some of it's going to be higher, some of it may be beaches, some may be mountains. So we know that water requires a shoreline. Further land, again, this is just speculation. Again, this is these gotcha moments that we have in here. Okay, we don't know what's beyond that area in Antarctica. There is no independent travel past the 60th parallel, and it's not somewhere that you and I are probably ever going to go in a lifetime. What they want us to do is speculate on, well, how big is this Earth? What shape is this Earth? And then this is a gotcha if you don't have all of the answers to these questions, yeah? And plane seeing curvature, very briefly, according to the radius of the Earth, you would have to be much higher than any planes fly to start seeing the actual curvature of the Earth. I think it's approximately about 350 miles. So the International Space Station height would only just start seeing curvature. So claims that it's seen from aeroplanes just cannot be possible according to the geometry and size that we're given.
If somebody were to come up to you with more of some of the other flat Earth hypothesis models, like the disk world or the ice walls around and stuff like that, do you how do you differentiate yourself? Like how come you're coming to a different conclusion than they are?
You're asking me that, sorry?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so I personally don't claim a model. Okay, I don't think it's something that I can actually prove. So again, I try to just stick with the description that we can give, and what we can actually physically measure and test is this, the land that we're standing on. We can do tests over water, long distance laser tests, long distance observations, so water, ice, and all different types of things like that. But again, it would just be speculating to state or put forward some sort of model. But again, falsification is independent of replacement. We don't need to replace the model to show that the current model does not work.
Interesting. Camu, you
Yeah.
brought up some good stuff here to think about. We're going to move on to the next callers. We're going through an
All
hour
right.
about this point. Let's chat again sometime soon. Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Have a good day. Thank you for answering my questions, AJ, to the best of your ability.
No problems.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everybody.
Hello,
Oh.
Shadow Wizard Money Gang.
So, I have a canker sore in my mouth because I bit the inside of my cheek. So I'm gonna try and be as concise about this as possible because it kind of hurts to talk.
Sorry.
I've been in this server for a while now, and I've listened to a lot of the flat earthers in their special little channel talk about their views and their questions about the globe model. And look, I love a good conspiracy theory as much as the next guy, but there are some problems I have with this one, and it is, of course, that a conspiracy theory, right? Part of the assertion is that it inevitably comes to the point where the argument is made, which is that, well, everybody who says the Earth is a globe is a liar, right? That guy who was in here earlier who said that everybody he's ever talked to that believes in a globe is a paid shill. I wish I was a paid shill, but anyway. That being said, though, I have 4 issues I take with this assertion that the glowies are lying about the shape of the Earth, right? And I wrote them down here, so I'm going to try and deliver them
Well,
pretty
here,
concise.
hold up for real quick. Like, what drove you into the pipeline that observing the Earth as flat and stationary is actually a conspiracy theory and not an observation?
Because this is something that I've detected. It's not just the observation, right? It's not just saying oh well, it looks flat to me. It's saying it looks flat to me and they're lying to you about it, right? This is what it inevitably comes to. I'm not saying you're saying that. I mean, you might be.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's like
But
Voltaire.
look,
Voltaire had said if you can. Okay, listen.
I need
to
get to these points, man.
Well,
I
no,
need to
because
get to
you're
them, or we're going to be here all night.
Well, you're
Look,
looking the wrong
okay,
direction. Okay, if you
look,
want
hold on.
conspiracy topic,
Look,
this is
you
not a
need
conspiracy.
you need to let me make these points.
Time out. Hold up. All right. The goal of the show is not to debate. It's not to argue. It's not to hammer points. Not to prove people wrong. There's none of those things.
Well, they're questions. They're questions. They're not points. They're questions. I should have phrased that better. Okay.
Yeah, the
So-
question is, what drove you into the pipeline of this being some kind of conspiracy theory? That's what we're looking to explore here.
You did.
No, I did. No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You absolutely did.
I
But
tell you,
look,
I didn't do that.
I'm not here to argue about pipelines. Okay, I'm here to ask my questions and have them answered because no one has yet given me these questions. Okay, there's been a lot of derailment whenever I ask them. So that being said, the questions I have.
Okay, it doesn't seem like you're listening already. That's the problem.
Look, you need to listen to the questions I'm about to ask. Okay.
Yeah, this is not the forum for talk about your meth field symposium about why government would lie to you.
It's not meth field. Okay, that's nice ad hom there, buddy. Anyway, so the first question I have. So, what is the motivation for world governments, even world governments which are?
We're just gonna move on.
All right, y'all kicked him. Is that what happened?
Yeah,
Yeah,
trying to figure
I
out
don't
what the
have that ability.
motivation of world governments are. I mean, go to a politics like conspiracy thing. You want to know why governments do the things they do? I mean, that's like
It's
not on
hard to
topic at
answer.
all. It's like
Hi.
if he would have explained why that matter, like how is that related to flat Earth? But it's not.
Could you
He's never
just
going to do it.
could you just repeat sort of the goal of this conversation? Because judging
Yeah.
from the way that previous conversation went, I
Mm-hmm.
would just like a bit of clarification as to, just so I don't overstep any bounds.
Yeah, I would love to. So what we're trying to practice here is street epistemology. Personally, I like to throw in a little nonviolent communication too. So street epistemology is a conversational technique in which it's not confrontational and it's not a debate, where we talk about what you believe, why it might be important to you, how you've come to your conclusion, and try to figure out if you've done a bang up job and you've come to your conclusion. You can give it 2 thumbs up, or if maybe there's some room for improvement. And we just wanna
Okay.
hear you out. We want the goal of mine is to understand, and another goal of mine is to get you to reflect, to think about the reasons you hold your belief.
Okay. So, okay. There's a lot. So I've been following this whole flat Earth like talking point and debate. I just have I have so many questions. One of them is, why would so many different governments around the world come together and collude in this big conspiracy?
This again.
Yeah,
Like I said
Okay,
earlier,
what
this is the.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm
Let me
confused.
try to
I
talk to
don't
him about
gonna
this.
know, like,
Let me talk to him. Let me talk to him.
drove
Yes.
you into that pipeline?
Hear me out,
I
guys.
did say
I
that
want
this
to
is
ask
the
these
biggest
questions if you don't
thing
mind.
brought up, guys. This is the biggest thing that gets asked every day. Like I said earlier, this is the question that we get over and over again.
What do you want us
Yeah,
to
this
ask?
calamity. Look, this is how it really breaks down. The questions of globe proof is photograph from space. Why would they lie? And minority opinions are just stupid. And if you
You-
present anything flat Earth related, they just
You
say
guys-
nah.
I hear you. I hear you, and I hear your frustrations. One of the reasons we want to have talks, call-in shows like this, because our goal is to have the conversation about the conversation, to basically to talk about to quit spinning our wheels, spending 40 minutes explaining government motivations or ice walls and all these kind of things, and break it down to say what is actually important, like what would actually convince you. Like, instead of saying, well, here's this, and this, they can see books and books of different types of information everywhere, and it may
So the
lead
question-
them to different things. What you got to talk about is what is important to them. What is their what is their epistemological foundations on things, how we can, what is needed in their mind. And sometimes they don't know. Sometimes people don't know.
So
So
to
they
ask
look
May
at
I
them
the-
what
make a
they're looking
suggestion?
for.
May
Yeah,
I just
Cla-
make a suggestion? So, with your street epistemology, I understand, like you explained, it's a conversational tool that helps people reflect on their reliability of the methods used to arrive at their deeply held views.
Yes.
So maybe my suggestion would be, rather than coming in here and asking us why liars lie, asking these types of questions, maybe put forward a view of why you are so deeply rooted in the globe belief and what has made you come to that conclusion, especially when you've been in the room for so long and, like you said, and you've listened to these arguments, so that we can understand your position and how you've
Okay.
come to that belief.
That makes sense.
Is that a
All right.
reasonable suggestion?
Okay. That makes sense. Right. So I've come to this conclusion mostly because of my background. So I have a degree in biomedical sciences. I do a lot of research for a lot of organizations. I'm involved in a lot of satellite technology, communications, all kinds of things. And the people I work with, the industry that I work in, and the work that I do all involve information that takes into account the curvature of the globe. When I'm looking at different frequencies and what frequencies to use when communicating with satellites, when we're sending up biological experiments to the International Space Station, we have to take in all these different factors that wouldn't occur on a flat Earth. And I just find it so insane to me that I just don't understand. I would love to just understand why there is so much evidence and so much industry and development in these fields, yet this is somehow a big collusion. And I guess some of you might think that I'm part of this collusion.
No, no.
I
We
hear
don't
you.
think
I
that.
hear you.
Can I answer this, please? First of all, I just want to premise this saying I don't think you're a globalist at all. I don't think you have any intention of world domination or any globalist agenda like global warming, because we know meteorology shows us that we have different ecosystems and all this. But just to answer your question, how we see it, how machine like radar and GPS, how it works for us, is that it makes more sense for radio signals and different high frequency, medium frequency, low frequency signals to be transmitted at a closer range, which is a straight line that's horizontal on Earth, not somewhere that's 50 kilometers up into the air first.
Is
If that makes any
okay?
sense.
Do you hold that belief?
Hold on,
Because
Clem.
sorry.
Yeah, Calamity. I was looking at some of the comments you had posted, like Christian nutcases. Do you think the people going to the ISS are not Christians?
No, I think a lot of flat earthers are Christian nutcases.
But not the
And it's
globe, not people
always
on the
the
globe.
case that they bring up religion and they bring in the Bible and talk about, but that's just me ranting.
Yeah, but do you
But
know
it's
that they
true.
if you
True.
believe the globe story, they brought a Bible to the moon. The current director of NASA said he's personally spoken to God, and God told him to come out of retirement. So if your epistemology is that you're against religion, how are you able to look the other way when you see the same religious principles?
My epistemology right now, okay, I will get onto that, but I do want to talk about the radio frequency stuff.
Oh, that was
That
just a
was
side
addressed,
thing.
but I didn't get to respond to that.
See, this is kind of the point I was
Um,
trying to make earlier, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
we could spend 20 minutes talking about things that aren't actually important to each other. And you
Exactly.
guys have had these kind of conversations with 50,000 different people. You've had these same conversations over and over and over and over. We want to try to talk about it in a different way. We want to try to talk about it in a way that it's actually focused on the person you're talking to, because you can hear a million different there's a million videos, there's a million servers. People see this stuff every day.
Yeah.
yeah.
We're trying
So-
to talk
Well,
about
I
it
think that-
differently.
Just to
It's a bit
expand on the
confusing.
radar stuff.
There's
I
a lot
think
of
that, guys, can we just stop for a minute? And I think that, Clemming here has given a very good example of why or he believes what he actually. So let's let Tude, David, and Pierce get into that with him.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sir.
That'd be nice.
Okay, what I heard before things got a little crazy there was you believe that the Earth is a globe, and it sounds like it's related to your field of work, or at least field of interest. And one of the
Yeah.
things I heard was relating to frequencies. Is that the biggest piece of evidence that gets you to your conclusion?
No,
Okay.
that's
What
just
is the what is the
just the
biggest?
thing that I'm knowledgeable about. It's not the biggest piece of evidence, but
What
it's
is-
a reasonable chunk of it.
Sure. Okay. What is the most important reason, the one that holds the most weight, that gets you the most to this conclusion?
In terms of frequencies, radio frequencies and things, I would say it's having to bounce low frequency signals from the moon to reach stations across the globe. One of the reasons we can do that is because of the fact that the moon is pretty reflective at low frequencies, and it covers quite a large area when it bounces off. I'm not like a radio expert or anything, because dabble in that field because of my job, but
I hear you. And
that's
and
one
I'm a
of the
big
things that we do. When we are downloading information from science experiments on the ISS, we have to time the position of the ISS directly. So we also have to take into account the delay that it takes when we're sending signals, which is about three seconds depending around. But you know, there's so many
Yeah,
different
you
factors
could
that
possibly like determine distances between
Hold-
stations with these things.
Hold
but-
tight, my friend here.
Yeah.
Just at the risk of being redundant, if somebody gave you a plausible explanation for the bouncing of the frequencies,
Yeah.
do you think that would convince you that you're more likely in
I
a
mean-
flat Earth, or that you're less likely in a round Earth?
I mean, it would have to be solid evidence. I mean, it would have to explain the frequency attenuation, Doppler effect. It would have to explain the exact positioning and why it aligns with the quote unquote moon that's in the sky. You know, there'd be so many different things. But yeah, I mean, if there was solid evidence and it was peer reviewed, maybe not peer reviewed because I doubt they could peer review it, but if there was solid evidence and it had some reasoning and math behind it, and the math checked out, I can look into it. But there usually never is. So
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah,
Thanks for that.
like,
And
probably.
you're welcome in our server again anytime to come and listen in, have a discussion, have a look at some of the stuff that we can present in documentation form. And yeah, it's good to have you here. But I think we've got Come Catch This Drift up here as well. I believe he may be a flat earther by the sounds of it. Maybe he can explain to you
I do
guys
wanna
why he's
say-
got his position. Yeah, go ahead.
please do send me that information. I would love to look over it. So
Okay.
if
No
you can do
problems.
that,
I'll
that
send
would
you
be
some.
great.
I will send you something once I'm finished here with the show, and I'll message it to you.
Sounds good.
No worries. And come catch my drift. I think you're a flat earther, so maybe you want to explain to Pierce and to Dave, how you came to becoming a flat earther and why you hold these beliefs so deeply.
Sure, yeah. I mean, okay. I mean, first time I became flat earther. Yeah, I was like out of high school and I didn't have I was working. I didn't have anything to do. So I started looking up, flat earth stuff. I ended up doing that. And I think it's because I was like having this epiphany about what the shape of the earth looks like because I've been told the same thing throughout my life. And then I realized that it was run by elites and globalists and all this stuff. And I saw someone on the internet talking about it, and that's how I got into it. Like, what, 5 years ago, and it makes a lot of sense right now, and I feel like it has a lot of spiritual sense as well as like existential sense. Like, it gives existential meaning instead of compared to like the heliocentric model, basically. And I have a lot of explanations for it. I've done enough research, and I'm also in college doing like the globalist perspective on like the studies for it. And I'm always like debating and sharpening what I believe in by comparing the evidence between the two to come up with a conclusion. I'm on more the flat earth side. So,
Okay. I hear you. So what we first started saying at the beginning here was like you've come to the conclusion that there's these elitists. Is that like the main reason you have for coming to the conclusion of flat Earth?
yeah, because I realized that all power corrupts, like absolute power corrupts. And when I started like believing that, I started looking up into Freemasonry, secret societies, and how the elites are heavily involved in that. And they're a small group, and a small important group, and they always like they want to be together, and how they work together is through like all these weird rituals, like these pagan rituals. And they all one thing all these pagan rituals believed in is worshiping the sun and all these deities that are like basically celestial bodies that they give, you know, the traits of what their god is to, and it's constructed. It's like pantheons, and it's like these elites still practice these things, and when they do these things, they come with all these agreements on education systems and what they feed into the media, and it's all the same throughout the Western countries.
I,
You can see how all these systems are connected.
okay, I think I'm picking up what you're putting down. So we got, you know, the elites, Freemasons, and their, you know, they got these rituals, and let's just say that, you know, these things, as you're describing them, exist, and there's lots of people who are trying to do these things, are doing these things in the world.
Yeah.
How does that connect to the shape of the earth? What is the connection between these?
The shape of the earth, how it connects to this is like, if you fundamentally believe what your existence is, like your existential meaning, like if you give like a good if you know what your perception of your existential life is, or what your reality is, it sets the foundation for the rest of the things that you believe in. Like if you think that you came into Earth and there was like, you just popped here, you just came to being, and there was like no reasoning behind it, like you don't find causality in it, like like you're pretty much an atheist. I feel like you wouldn't understand how different civilizations depicted Earth, what it looks like based off of what they believe in. So once you understand those things, once you research those things, you scope into your actual existence, how you live things versus what you've been indoctrinated into believing. Then you start to pick out the differences, you know, like
How do you live
CGI
your life
imagery.
differently?
How would you live your life differently?
How do you live your life differently? You said that it gives you more meaning and
Yeah.
than the
Well,
opposite perspective, I guess.
when I found out like Earth is flat, ever since then, all I ever wanted to do was just look at the horizon, just like every morning when I wake up until like every night. So I was like thinking about, if I want to do this for the rest of my life, I might as well have it for my career. And what careers are those? Being a pilot on a plane, or being a trucker, you know, driving on the road, or just sailing on a boat. So I was like, I picked sailing. So now I'm in college, and they're teaching me everything about like the globe heliocentric perspective, and that's like a challenge for me because people know at my college that I'm a flat earther because I've debated the professors there and also the students, and I'm not expelled yet. Like I'm fucking like just flying through. I'm just sailing right through. It's easy.
Literally
But-
selling.
When
Yeah, but, like-
people might, it sounds like people might put you down for being a flat earther. At least that's kind of what it might have sounded like.
Yeah,
If that,
yeah. I've been, dude.
I'm sorry.
When I went, that's probably been the reasons why I've like lost opportunities because people thought I was some kind of weirdo. Right?
Gotcha. I don't
just
think
as
that, by the
much.
way.
It does affect your career because like if I tell one person, it goes up the chain, and then the captain knows, and then one captain tells another captain, and the captain tells a company, and the company tells another company, and then it gets hard for you to find a job. So it's like really hard to like do that. So like I have to like pick my moments like correctly.
Gotcha.
Why do you think them knowing you or believe in the flat Earth would affect your job or their perception of you?
Obviously, because they're probably gonna be skeptical of my like intellectual capabilities, right? Especially since I'm just a student. And, like my ability to obey and comply.
When these things happen, like when other people perhaps make these judgments about you, how do you feel when that happens? What are your feelings?
They're expected. Like, I expect it. That's kind of like I chose to do it at first, mostly, like kind of, because like I wanted to. I just wanted to debate people, and I wanted to reveal the truth, right? So like, there's a little bit of like that challenge, and everyone can sense it. You can sense it when you have differing, like deep differing opinions, and like it's best not to do that when you're around the same people all the time, because you're gonna spend like a very long time with these people. It's best not to do these things, right? And
Hmm.
knowing this, like I should probably do that,
Okay.
learn more.
I see. Hmm. It almost sounded like you were kind of inspired to do these debates. Um,
Yeah, like I want a debate. I wish, I
okay.
hope this panel is a debate, can debate
If
someone.
someone were to like jump at you and attack you, maybe call you names or something, um, how would you feel regarding an event like that?
I'd be indifferent, doesn't affect me.
Really? Wow. That's really interesting. Um, like for me, I think I would feel pretty like I don't know, maybe sad, maybe a little
I've
bit
been called the
defeated.
worst things on here, bro. Like
Mm,
people, yeah, I have my reputation on here, and I get it, but is this my life? No, like I'm far beyond this, and people are nice in real life. If I meet anyone ignorant or whatever, just whatever, it's better stuff out there, anyways.
gotcha. Okay.
If you did convince somebody of flat Earth, uh, how do you think their life would change? Would it be for the better or the worse? You said that this comes with a lot of ridicule. It comes with a lot of uh, insecurity with job stuff. Why do you try to convince people if it has these potential setbacks?
Well, I do it as like a way of, just if I'm really comfortable and I just want to do like small talk and I want to turn it into like it's something you just do behind closed doors with someone you trust. Like if you're talking about something that you deeply like believe, like it doesn't have to be like public for people, anyways.
Hmm. But on the internet, yeah, I mean, you're on Discord frequently. Maybe I don't know. Why is it important
Yeah,
to talk about it
I don't
on Discord with people?
I don't talk about it on here that much because I never, a lot of people talking at the same time. It's like hard to get a word through. How do I feel? Just done my exams.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm. Is there one thing that, for the similar question I've asked all the other people, is there something that you could find out today that would, if presented to your satisfaction, would make you say, well, maybe it is more practical that it is a globe Earth. Is there something you could find out?
yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's practical, and it's so much there that I'm using that it makes me sound like I'm a globe head. But if I just like focus on the practical things, like the truth shows for itself. But then I hear someone saying, "Oh, like that's like you can't use a practical example for a causation, right? Like just because you see the results doesn't determine the cause of it." So it's like I don't know about that kind of thing because
Well,
you see what
maybe I could
happens.
rephrase the
That's your
question.
deduction.
Because I mean, at this point, on a scale of 1 to 7, how convinced are you that the Earth is flat?
99.9.
Okay. Is there something that you could learn about or see that would lower that from a 99.9 to an 80% or a 50%?
Yeah, I would say like yeah, like like gravity. The one thing like if I'm convinced that gravity is real, then I'll lean towards the 80%. But if gravity's not real, then it's flat Earth 100%. And I know the experiment. I need an opinion on this.
What do you mean?
So okay, so there's this experiment, right? So okay, so let me just let me preface this. So gravity, right? You need the idea of gravity because it's relative, so you can use it in like the idea of like space travel or somewhere that's outside the atmosphere. You want to compare gravities, right? But you can also do that underwater as well. The thing is like if it is an enclosed space like the firmament, that's the reason why we have an atmosphere. But globers say like there's air on Earth because
Sure,
of
sure.
gravity,
So
right?
what could you see that would change your opinion on gravity?
If there wasn't gravity, right? If gravity wasn't real, then the globe heads wouldn't have a reason to say, "Oh, well, that's the reason why air is sticking to Earth because of gravity."
Sure. But for
We would
you,
just, if gravity wasn't real, that wouldn't be the cause. The cause would be it's in an enclosed space. That's the cause, not gravity, right?
back to the 99% to the 50%. What could you learn about gravity that would make you say, okay, maybe gravity is real?
Yeah. So this experiment, right, is like the helium experiment. It's like you basically take a vacuum chamber, like a small one, doesn't have to be big, and you just take all the air out of it, which is going to cause negative pressure, by the way. And then you inject that room, that chamber, with a gas, say helium gas, because it's less dense than air and it floats, right? Which defies gravity. Will that helium sink to the bottom of the chamber, right? Like water, like fluid, or will it take up the entire space, like try to expand itself in that room, like a gradient? You know,
I
if gravity is real, it will sink to the bottom of the thing.
You keep giving
But
a
if it
few number of
doesn't,
qualifiers, like it's like, oh, if gravity's real, but like what I'm hearing is I don't think you're actually convinced that would convince you.
that
It
would
sounds like you kind
convince
of already
me
have.
because that's the perfect experiment to simulate the firmament, the flat Earth model. It's enclosed space with air that's in it, right? But we're taking out all the air to eliminate the atmosphere situation, and we're just only focusing on the gravity. If gravity is real, then we would see this like let's add color to the air, that gas, right? That gas would sink down. If not, it would just take up the space, right? But we would assume that takes up the space because there's negative pressure in that chamber, right? So the pressure is like basically trying to implode, right? Trying to pull gas inside of it. But if we were to take that same vacuum chamber up into the atmosphere where the atmospheric pressure is zero, like absolute zero, I would say like that if that you're eliminating even more like factors out of this equation, which gets to but no one's ever done that before. And I think that's like the only way to prove if whether or not gravity is real. It has to be outside of the atmosphere.
may I jump in here real quick? I'm wondering what does gravity have to do with the shape of the Earth?
Well, that
Kinda.
would be the model. There's two models. There's one that's a ball and it's revolving around the sun, and then you have the flat Earth model, which could be an endless plane of land and water, or it could be an enclosed space, and like an enclosed dome or of
And
plasma or water above it.
Yeah, I believe he's saying
gravity only exists in one of these and not the other?
Exactly.
Um, I wonder if we're using the word gravity different, like you and me. Like, like I would consider, the pen falling here. That would be gravity to me. Does it mean something different to you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
What's it mean?
gravity is just your cause for why things fall. But if it was at a higher altitude, we're told to believe that it's supposed to float because we're out of the chains of gravity. So, it's very conflicting. You just don't know, you know. But for me, I think gravity is because of buoyancy. Like things fall because it's less dense than its
Okay,
median. All right.
I see what you're saying now.
That's where the vacuum chamber thing comes in.
Gotcha. I understand now. I see what you're saying. And if this, depending on which way the results would go, you would, your mind would either be at this conclusion, a flat Earth or this conclusion
Yeah, like,
globe, depending on the results, you'd sway you'd
like
go one way
from
or the other.
99% to like 100 is gravity. You know what I mean?
If
But that's it.
if you were convinced that gravity is real, would that affect your views on the everything else you said about the meaning of life, the globalism, the conspiracies of
No.
sorts, like all those things? Or
No, it wouldn't. I'll find out one day, maybe like in 10 years, 100, whatever, they find new research, how like the world shifts. It's not going to change. It's not going to destroy my worldview because the world's going to change whether or not I still hold the same beliefs. So like, I still have to keep up with that. So it's not going to destroy my world. No. I still
well, not
have
necessarily destroy. I'm just curious what kind of effects it might have. Neat. Come catch this drift. I've got a lot of questions for you some other time. We've got a number of people lined up here, and I want to run through here.
Thanks for the
coming on.
platform, man. Thanks for having me on, bro. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hope it felt like it was a meaningful discussion.
Love you guys, bro. Have a good night.
You too, bud.
Catch you later. All right, I just wanted to take a moment to pause here, and I wanted to talk to AJ and Crit. So with regards to the callers previously, some of the ones who believed in a globe Earth as opposed to a flat Earth. So I think I saw a lot of passion there, and I just want to talk a little bit about that. It may have even got a little heated there, at least from my perspective. It seemed like it went a little back and forth quite a bit, a lot of talking over each other. I just want to know what was alive in you in that moment. What were you guys feeling when it kind of got heated there?
Well, I was thinking right from the very beginning, the question, why is flat Earth important to you? So for me, it matters, okay? And I could go into the whole why. Basically, the world makes sense. Some of these other guys...
Yeah, I just want to know what you were feeling. I want to know what you were feeling.
Yeah, I'm getting there, okay?
Okay.
Some of these guys, they think flat Earth is important because they want to own someone on the internet, someone they see as wrong, and they're going to come up here and tell you what for. And they don't even know what you're talking about to begin with. He had no idea that I said, hey, I'm not talking about conspiracy theory here. I'm talking about a description of a surface of an object. And he's like, yeah, but you told me conspiracy theory. And that's sort of that, not let's say frustration, but like if he's not even going to listen to the first thing I said, why would he expect charitable communication in me listening to anything he has to say after that? Especially when he's telling me about me. As the first time I've ever talked to you, dude, I'm telling you right from the very beginning, this has nothing to do with conspiracy theories. It's just empirical observations, measurements, in practical use. To invoke all these other things is red herrings and drives further away from the topic. Why is it important, and how do you know the Earth is flat? See, like, it's interesting how the globalist will invoke everything other than the surface of the Earth to describe what the surface of the Earth is. You'll get people coming here, look at that black hole, look at that moon mission, look at...
Gotcha, Crit. I think what I'm hearing, because I think what I'm hearing is when the person was, when he was talking over you, it sounds to me like you were feeling pretty frustrated, and I think the underlying reason behind that frustration was you want to be heard, you want your perspective to be heard, and you want it to be considered. Does that sound about right?
Well, no, more like letting them hijack the conversation. Instead of them talking about why flat Earth is important to them and how do they know the Earth is flat or Earth is a globe, he came in here wanting to talk about not that. Wanting to completely hijack the conversation and make it about conspiracies and conspiracy theorists and these sort of things that quite frankly poison the well and really have nothing to do with the topic whatsoever.
So, Crit, what I was waiting to do is I was waiting to hear those questions. Well, first, I hear you, and I imagine you deal with a lot of people being assholes all the time, and I can understand being frustrated and wanting to get the jump on trolls before you waste your time. I get that. What I was planning on doing was I was planning to hear that point, and especially the conspiracy theory thought, and say, okay, if the conspiracy theories weren't true, but there was other evidence that pointed towards a flat Earth, would that convince you? Because if he doesn't care about the conspiracy theories, if it's just a talking point, if it's just a troll answer, well, you move past it, in my opinion.
Well, the thing too is he also said before he started that he's never been given any answers to these questions. That's complete bullshit. I'm sure lots of flat earthers have broke those questions down for him, Big Bird
Sure.
and Barney style.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think. I think just asking the reason behind the question, so to speak, just say, okay, does that one really matter to you? And I mean, to some people, they might say yes, and you might waste some time still. But I mean, you can try. You can at least in my opinion, that's. But I'm pretty optimistic and naive, and I'll admit it. My name's Two Day David because I was born yesterday. I basically ask things like I don't know anything. So.
That's a good way to look at it. That's why Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is a character that the globalists throw under the bus all the time, he says approach science like a child. All questions, no answers. Like bring in no presuppositions. Don't bring in any baggage. And the globalists get pissed at that because they want to invoke the vast knowledge of human understanding in whatever. But they burn all the history books prior to the Copernicus revolution. So it's really this like contradictory worldview where they're willing to say trust the experts, but only the experts that validate their worldview.
If somebody did feel that people were being more conspiratorial than they feel is necessary, and they wanted to ask about it, how could they go about asking that?
Yeah, to explain why they think conspiracy theory, why is it important? It's like start the question. Why is flat Earth important to you? They say it's important to combat conspiracy theories. Okay, and flat Earth is a conspiracy theory. The most problem. So in your worldview, you want to challenge conspiracy theories, and you see this topic as a conspiracy theory. There's on the globe Earth, don't you have conspiracy theories? Why do you need flat Earth to frame your idea to combat conspiracy theories? Because you see them as harmful, misinformation, la-di-da, right? All these first world problems. So why do you dive into flat Earth and talk about something that on the globe side is a bigger deal than here? It seems quite counterintuitive, like in the way of making a mountain out of a molehill. If your hang up is this one, go ahead.
I was just saying, have we lost 2 Day Dave? He's just
no,
gone.
his camera every once in a while shuts off. He'll be back in a moment. I hope. I think I heard him, so he's still here. But thank you for sharing that, Crit. I really appreciate you kind of giving your thoughts on that. I'd like to get back to the show in just a moment, but I kind of asked you what was alive within you, how you were feeling, and I'd like to share the same thing about me. So I kind of made the observation that things got a little debatey, a little heated, and I felt a little frustrated. And what I would like to do with our show and in the one tonight is to have really cordial conversations and really get down to the epistemology. And it's regardless whether it's somebody who's talking about flat Earth or globe. I mean, I'll talk to either one. I don't want to discriminate. And with that being said, my request would be to have trust in David and I, and let us get down to the epistemology with the people who we bring up on stage.
Yeah, that's cool. Just to answer your question from my perspective,
Yes.
I wasn't necessarily trying to get into debate there, but the first guy that did come in and he rattled off a ton of points, which was that ice wall, aeroplanes, Eratosthenes, etc. These guys come in with these same things every day. I did want to let him speak and have all those points. I just wanted, from a flat Earth perspective, after he'd finished, just to be able to clarify a few of those points, maybe for the audience, for you guys to further understand, and also maybe if he didn't understand those points that he could. But other than that, I did ask for us to move on with the last guy in regards to maybe just presenting what his belief was. I thought that that's what we were here for, was that, if we're globers, we're going to jump in and say, hey guys, I believe it and I have this strong belief for this reason. And same for the flat Earth. Yeah. And so far, the first few guests that we've had haven't actually done that. It's almost sort of been coming in to ask questions, why the flat Earth? Like Crit said, look, you
The
understand
stage
too, we
name
get
is
these
Flat
guys all the
Earth
time.
AMA, which
Yes.
on the sidebar. So I imagine that's what all the people are reading. It's just because that's the name of the stage, I think, right? It's for every
Yeah.
Flat Earth thing. Yeah,
Um,
so
But definitely don't want to stand on your guys' toes. And then the other thing I just wanted to discuss with you guys, like at the moment we've got 8 people with their hands up, and it'd be good to let everyone speak. So I have been trying to jump in there just a little bit and say, hey guys, all right, no worries, thanks. If you've got more questions, feel free to come back, just so that we can try and move through, because some of them tend to be just sort of lagging around a little bit. We're not really getting much discussion. But if you want to leave them until you're ready to kick them back down, I won't interject at all. You just let me know what you would like.
Yeah, I can stay. I know we planned for 2 hours. I can stay
I'm
a
good
little
for
bit
more time.
later.
Yeah.
I'm good for more time. We'll try to get through these callers. We'll try to get through everybody. We'll try to move quickly through them, so we're not here all night. But
and
yeah,
due to the show being flat Earth, and you wanted to know what flat Earthers believed, if we've got some hands up in the audience, do we want to pick some flat Earthers, or do we just want to go based off of who's got their hand up first in the list?
Yeah, I can stay longer too. I just was making at the beginning, said, hey, what were you
Yeah.
planning on? What was a timeline? But yeah, no problem to keep going.
okay.
So do you want to
Perfect.
lock it here with we just got these 8 speakers, and once we get through the 8, then we're done?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Okay.
For sure.
Right. 9 now. And do you want another flat Earther?
Sure. let's keep them coming.
No worries.
Let's do her. Hello there.
Flat Lloyd.
Look at that. I love those glasses.
1, 2. Hey, what's
Hear
going
you
on?
all
Guys?
right. You're a little low, but I'll turn you up. All right.
Yeah, let me get on that as well.
You're perfect. Good to go.
Sweet. Well, thanks for coming to our server, guys.
Yeah, thanks for hosting everybody. Thanks for letting us be on here.
I mean, a little bit about me. To answer the question, why is it important to me? It's kind of a long story, but I started questioning it myself, actually, in my architecture master class, right? So during my master degree, I was focusing on light and actually looking at the sun and the moon specifically in the violet hours of the day, right? And we had a whole architectural studio on this. So it's very artistic, it's very scientific, right? And we're set out to question a lot of things. And so being out in the middle of West Texas, where there's a very clever joke that says, out in West Texas, you can watch your dog run away for 2 weeks because it's so flat, right? And that's just kind of a typical joke that you'll kind of hear out there in Odessa or Lubbock. But during this class, I started realizing, because to be honest, I've always, every flat earther knows the globe too. In fact, some of us know it really well because, well, in my case, I wanted to be an astronaut too, right? But anyway, in finding that the Earth is flat, I notice it now, 10 years later. Why it was so important is because of that self-growth, that self-reflection, and how much I actually changed as an individual person, right? My architecture changed, my life changed. I didn't want to get married. I didn't believe in a creator, and now I do. And now I have 2 wonderful, beautiful daughters. And now I teach architecture at university. And there is a common stigmatism that flat earthers are not intellectual. But to be honest, I've met some of the most brilliant minds and voices of our time. Of course, AJ and Crit being, like uncles to me. We're a real family here. There's a real sense of community. I've even met some of these guys in person, just because of how dear we are to each other. And for us, at least in my opinion, the truth doesn't actually need defending, because it's, what are you going to do? It's the truth. How are you going to change the truth? However, I don't like seeing my brothers and sisters being lied to. So that's why I'm here, and I help moderate and do what I can. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Mhm.
sharing. Wow. If you were to come to the opposite conclusion that you've come to today, you said that there was all this self growth when you changed your mind initially, and that you changed as a person. You started believing in God. Got married.
This was over a
had
10-year
daughters.
span as well.
Okay.
But yeah.
If you were to change your mind, like after talking with us for whatever reason, decided to flip sides here, changed your mind, would any of this change? Would you flip flop to a different person?
Nah.
You'd stay the
Just
same
because
person?
there's a difference between knowing something and believing something, right? For instance, if I can believe in my shoe size until I measure it, right? And then I know my shoe size, right?
Could you make a mistake? Like measuring your shoe size? Is that possible?
You could. So what if I measured it over and over and over, and I actually did the scientific method, and of course, I could apply everything I want to. I could use measurements. I could do everything to, of course, um, measure my foot. But even measurement, well, it isn't quite science yet, right? We're not measuring a cause and effect relationship yet, which would be natural science. In our case, this would just be a measurement question. Yeah, you could get it wrong, so you could do it 3 times and average it, I suppose. But at the
Is
end of the day, I think you would start to say, "I know my shoe size."
is this kind of an analogy to say that you couldn't change your mind on flat Earth?
Correct. It would be like, the equivalent of somebody going, "Do you think you could believe in Santa Claus again?"
Hmm.
I bet I could.
One of the things Crit said earlier was pretty interesting to me. It was that the uh, I can't remember the exact wording, but it was something to the degree of uh, pointing out like a flaw or a critique in one idea does not necessarily posit an alternative. I can't remember exactly how that goes there.
Well, just because something's been falsified doesn't mean you have to replace it. And very
Yeah, something like
often,
that. Yeah.
don't get me wrong, even when I was starting to understand that I didn't know all the things that I thought I knew, I thought I knew why why I only saw the one side of the moon. I thought I knew I was on a ball in the middle of space, like a lot of people do today, because they were told when they were young, right? Just like I was. And I couldn't even develop an argument. They just said, "Hey, it's round." They made sure a globe is in every room, and Universal Studios made sure that you see it at the beginning of every movie. And sometimes they even zoom in and start the movie. It's my point is that it's reinforced through our media constantly. First image on the iPhone, of course.
10 years ago, whenever before you came to the conclusion that you're at, you do you felt as though in a similar way you knew that the Earth was round? Was it a similar feeling?
Of
Would you
course.
compare it to
Yeah.
your shoe?
Yeah. I mean, my teachers told me so, and they showed me all the diagrams, they showed me all the charts. I learned it just as well, the radius being 3959 miles in radius, right? And that we're 93 million miles away from the sun. and that there's 8 minutes. I mean, the facts go on and on and on, right? Just all the wonderful stories. I used to want to go to galaxies, watch Carl Sagan, I mean, the Science Channel was my bag, growing up as a teenager.
I'm
So
sure
yeah,
other
don't get me wrong.
scientists
I had a
still
couple of
love it.
weeks where I was really depressed, like, oh my God, what have I been doing this whole time, let alone everybody else, you know? How could I have been this fooled? And you get a little angry, I think you feel a whole range of emotions as a flat earther. And what's hard is everybody has kind of a different path and honestly a different stage that they're at. Like you just kind of heard from our last guy, he was kind of like, maybe gravity will do it for me. When I already know that it's Archimedes' principle and relative density, and I've proved it to myself, however many times I need it, things float. It's not to say that stuff to like make you guys convinced, because I would honestly say even this Discord isn't the point of convincing anybody. In my opinion, at least what we try and do at 24/7
Yeah.
is just share the information.
Hey,
But it gets
Lloyd,
heated, as you guys see.
if there wasn't any physical evidence, anything empirical, would you still believe in flat Earth?
If there wasn't any evidence of the Earth being flat,
Nothing,
no,
nothing
that would be.
observable.
I mean, that would be kind of silly. I mean, I don't think I'd believe in anything that I didn't have some sort of evidence, whether it be empirical or at least spiritual, right? Because I do have a spiritual sense. I've always had that, but um,
Does that make up
and
a big
questioned
part
it,
of this
come
belief?
back to it. But
Does this make the
no,
spirituality? No.
not a requirement, but it definitely it's hard to explain. I mean, how do you explain spirituality? But you have a sense of purpose, I guess I should say. I immediately wanted to help others and become a professor of architecture. And it's I'm the luckiest man in the world. I truly believe that. I mean, if there's only I don't even like to say believe, because honestly, I'd rather tell you I don't know something. That way, when I tell you I do know something, you don't see this guy who's crying wolf, right? No, Flat Lloyd, he's pretty honest. Professor, he's gonna tell you when he doesn't know. I do the same thing to my students. They ask sometimes ridiculous questions that nobody could possibly know, and they want me to speculate. They want me to, oh, what's the professor's answer? And I tell them I don't know. I don't lead them on, and sometimes I don't want that part, but I do the same thing with this topic as well. I'm not gonna tell you that flat Earth even has a model, because outside is reality. I don't even need a model to prove that it measures flat. You know, what I'm saying is there's 0% chance that it's a globe, at least in my worldview, and I know that can be confusing for some.
Sure. And is there a name? Side note: is there a name for a non-model claiming flat Earth? Is like, you have like a person who might think that there might be a god, but it's like a generic, or they don't have a specific one. That's like a deist, or maybe even as far as like an
Is it
agnostic or
deist?
something like
I
that.
think it's something like it. Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
agnostic.
Are there levels? Are there terms? This is a side note, but
Yeah, it's generally a simulation theory or a realmist, someone who sees the Earth as a human habitat, or as we live in some sort of simulation theory that's sort of rendered out.
neat. Thanks. Sorry for the side note there. That I just was curious.
That's a good side note. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple other, like, people think that flat earthers have this one just disk in space, and that's only the Flat Earth Society. There's an infinite plane, there's ether cosmology, electric universes. There's a lot of people in flat Earth, which is fun when we're just flat earthers talking amongst ourselves. It's some really fun and engaging conversations. it seemed to go off the rails when you get a globalist come in there, want to tell you all about you.
Do you all feel as though you have a similar desire? I think Flat Lloyd, you said earlier that you don't like your friends being lied to. Um, do you have a similar level of conviction for discussing or trying to correct the flat Earth society with the disk model and all that?
So don't get me wrong. It's kind of known that it's disinformation, right? It started in the 70s, Leo Ferrari, and they basically make all these kind of useless, baseless claims that really just make flat Earth and the topic look bad. And at first glance, you'll sort of see it, and they say, "Well, Australia doesn't exist," and of course, everybody knows Australia exists because AJ's here, right?
True.
So then you'll just disregard the topic,
Maybe.
right?
Hmm.
But to be honest, yeah, I mean, I don't like my friends being lied to. Um, and that's why I kind of honestly became a professor as well, or even a dad, you know. Um, there was a calling, there's that purpose, right? That um it's all it all seems to come together for a reason, and um business wise, I started a business. I started learning not just about flat earth, but actually, why this is also important is because I questioned actually everything else. What I was eating, what I was feeding my dog, like I started questioning a lot of things that I think a lot of people are even starting to do today. Right? They are starting to, 4 years ago, people had a lot of sex, right? And so I think a lot of people continued questioning for sure. And don't get me wrong, I think some people can take questioning way too far, right? Because there are some really wild speculations of flat earth, and it makes you really popular and get a lot of clicks on TikTok, but that doesn't make it true, unfortunately. And it does make us look kind of bad as well, right? Because we get people come in and go, "Hey, you said this," and it's like, "No, I know what you're talking about, but that's nobody can prove that," you know.
Hmm.
Because I was trying to convince my family at first, right? I mean, imagine how that went. It was the equivalent of coming out, to be honest. They would have rather I've been something else, you know.
Yeah, you're
And
describing what I hear a lot of like deconstruction and leaving religion stories, experiences. It sounds in a lot of ways similar.
you make a good point because honestly, we would say this globe is kind of this scientism religion, for lack of a better term. It's a series of beliefs that you have to kind of look to the authorities to go, well, they're interpreting the data correctly, who
Is
am I to interpret it?
is there a way that you could believe that there are deceptive authority types, that there's meaning and purpose, and that
There could be.
you could and the Earth still be round? Is there something you could discover that could meet all those criteria? You said something about um, a theorem, but then you also said you've ran it a million times in your head. So I'm curious if what you meant by that. Like how is that something that could convince you otherwise if you're saying it doesn't convince you otherwise?
What do you mean? No, I mean, it's not about convincing. That's what I mean. I know that it measures flat, that there's literally zero globe, right? I mean, again, it's like if somebody asked me, hey, would you consider, I mean, what would it be that made you believe in Santa Claus again? I don't know, going to the North Pole, shaking his hand and
Hmm.
going, hey, can you tell me how you fly around the Earth?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd want to ride on a
Chris.
sleigh. If I could ride in a sleigh, I'd believe in Santa. I think
Right, so I mean, what would that take for a globe? Don't get me wrong, if somebody took me out in a spaceship, because I know a lot of people, they see rockets going into the atmosphere and people thinking, oh, they must have gone to the edge of space. Oh, just send a flat earther up there. Would I be honest and tell you what I see? Of course, 100%. if it was curved and I saw that there was, oh my gosh, there's the 3959 curve. Of course. But unfortunately, you can find out if the surface is curved or not just going to the beach and actually having some pretty good optics, whether it be a telescope or a Nikon P900. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the topic, but it's one of those things that you can't just watch a YouTube video. You got to do it for yourself. If you really want to know if truth is important to you, you do it yourself and you prove it to yourself and you do it over and over again. And you do it even a couple months later, if I'm being honest, because I was for a couple months, I was like, because you got to understand, I didn't watch YouTube at first, and then it became this popular topic in 2015 and 16. I was the really crazy guy in 2013, who was looking into Mayan calendars. There was something about, I think, 9/11 also, that really kind of sparked some interest too. But again, those are kind of conspiracies. You can't prove those. Whereas flat Earth is, to be honest, not a conspiracy. You can't even hide it. There's not really anything being hidden. There's just really a false story next to it, but we all see the same Earth outside. Me and you, we live on the same place.
Neat. I appreciate you sharing with us, Flat Lloyd, and
Yeah, absolutely, man.
hope we could chat some more in the future. You seem like a cool dude.
Y'all too. Yeah, and did you guys have any questions? I actually had some questions for you.
Go ahead.
What do you find most important about this flat Earth topic? I mean, is it just kind of like maybe like this, like what causes a person to do that, or in your head, do you think that it's just what media is telling you, that it's just people that are just distrusting the government?
I mean, I think people
What do you
distrust the
find
government,
interesting
whether
about
or
it?
not the Earth is round or flat. I think there's plenty of reasons that people can be conspiratorial. I think there
Well
are
said.
a large number of people who fall under the category of both. I mean, but that doesn't mean that all of them are like that. I think one of the personally that makes me most interested in this is I get sick of like the language that people use when they're talking to each other about it. Like the globetards and the flurfer stuff, like the way that people like kind of dehumanize the
Yeah.
people they're talking to. That to me, like I understand it's a shorthand in a lot of ways for around your people when you're in an in group or whatever. But I do feel like in a lot of ways we start making people more malicious. We give people more malicious intent whenever we dehumanize them more in that way. And so I hope that people actually talk more. But I'm a foofy feelings person, I guess.
Nothing wrong with that. I think they're
Yeah,
important too, both sides. Pierce, same question.
yeah, to give my perspective, it's not something that I'm super passionate about. I don't think if I change my mind, I don't think I would change my behavior. I don't really think I would do anything differently than I'm doing now. That's why I don't have that importance. However, I do like to, learn why, what things are important to people, why it's important, and how they came to their conclusion. That's very intriguing to me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The
Cool.
Yeah, it's a great
dehumanization,
Thanks so
answer.
much.
the dehumanization part is important too, because what you see is that a lot of the globalists will see flat earthers are to blame for problems in the world that they've attributed to. Like, why is there no flying car? Well, flat earthers. Like, hey, why can't we have things nice? Because of science denial. They put in this level of importance that isn't there. They make up like a supervillain in the world because as we become more and more inclusive, it's getting less and less minority groups that you can mock or ridicule without getting some pushback from society. And Flat Earth happens to be one of those few minority groups where it's socially acceptable to mock them.
Like a scapegoat for frustrations or something, or and I imagine that there is a certain amount of um, shoot, something popped up when on my computer and I lost it. Sorry, Crit, to interrupt you to say nothing.
Oh, good. Well, we got a few more people with their hands up. So if we want to go on, we've got Sapphire. He's been waiting probably at least a good half an hour, or her. So we might bring them up for a chat.
All right, let's do that. Hoping to get through these people these callers a little bit quicker. I don't want to stay past the top of the hour here.
The Sapphire, I've invited you to speak. You want to accept that and jump up on stage?
There we go. How's it going?
Hello, guys. Can you guys hear me all right?
Good enough.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I did want to say, first and foremost, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak. I've been watching you guys for a minute, and I appreciate your strategy. I appreciate your ethic. Especially I can't. If you guys can state for me your names and your YouTube channel, that way I can find you guys.
Mm-hmm. It's our names here, and our YouTube is the same thing. 2-Day David, Pierce Watkins.
And that's it. I can
That's
just
it.
look you up. I looked up Pierce. Maybe I just scrolled past it or something, but I'll give it another shot. Pierce Watkins, a 2-Day David. I appreciate you guys very much. I won't take a lot of you guys' time. I just been following along here. I hang out in the flat Earth room quite often. I'm not a flat earther myself, but I'm also not antagonistic to the group either. I find that what has been touched on here tonight, something that's getting me motivated to talk is that there is a pretty heavy animus, I think, on both sides, like you guys were just mentioning. People, we're tribalistic by our nature. So when people come in with outside ideas, ways of thinking, that kind of thing, it can almost be perceived as a threat sometimes. And I've had this personally, not just like on, the flat earth stuff. When I first started hanging out in the group, I thought a lot of these guys were intellectual. I thought a lot of these guys were really good at debate, as far as like the strategy and the polemics, the way that they argue. And they're very interesting. And I was talking to some people in real life about it, and they were getting oddly defensive over the globe earth sort of mentality, right? Just because I was having conversations with these guys. So I have noticed that where there is a sort of defensiveness over, these deeply held, beliefs that we have been taught them since childhood. So it makes a lot of sense that people have this cognitive dissonance when you say, oh, the earth's, flat or whatever. I will say though, that a lot of people do come into the group, and because these guys are so skilled at what they do, a lot of globers, right? They fall into these easy traps. They'll say, I've seen it. I've gone up in the airplane. I saw the curvature. But then you have scientists who actually do know the field, who do know the science, who do know the math, that will say it's impossible to see the curvature with the naked eye, regardless of how high up you go. It's just that big, right? So I think that, just to hone in on the heart of what you guys are talking about, I feel like it'd be a lot more productive if people would just have, more honest conversations with each other rather than trying to catch each other out with some sort of gotcha and show like who knows more about whatever niche esoteric subject that they've got, on their plate. So like, you guys have been asking questions all night about like, worldviews and how these beliefs affect people and the way that they live in their life. And honestly, I don't think that regardless of where you fall on this particular issue, whether it's globe or flat earth, I really genuinely don't believe it changes most people's lives all that much. And even the guys that have attested to like, these big sweeping changes in their life, like the spiritual outlook changing, the outlook on, their appreciation for life or for their family and stuff like that. While all that's good and positive, I'm kind of like of a mindset with you guys, 2-Day Dave and Pierce, that there could be, other reasons. Like the openness and the mindset, the willingness to challenge previously held beliefs and stuff like that kind of just comes with a sort of like spring cleaning of the mind, right? So, there's no reason to believe that if you are going to question some of these like long held beliefs, like why other changes wouldn't follow that, right? Especially if you're growing and becoming more responsible. So I think just as a last point, when I knock something off a table, I don't immediately think about gravity and all the consequences of gravity and the mathematic formulas and the scientific reality and how gravity's the magical force that not only is dragging my property off of my countertop, but is also keeping the planets within orbit of the sun and all that kind of stuff. I just think about how retarded I am for dropping my urn off the counter. In the same way, like when I pull up my GPS and I drive to someone's house, I don't think about the satellites that may or may not be flying around the Earth's atmosphere at millions of miles an hour or whatever like that. It doesn't cross my mind in the slightest. And I'm aware of these things, and I'm aware that, maybe the science of gravity has much more profound applications to the right person, to the expert. But for me, just as like the regular person who like, I'm not good at math. So like, whether you're a flat earther or you're a glober, you're not going to use a mathematic equation to convince me of the shape of the planet. I'm afraid of heights. So you're not going to strap me to a balloon and fly me up there. So regardless of where you guys fly on this issue, right? Like it doesn't really change like our regular pragmatic everyday life. There's some things that are outside of our control, but the most important thing that you guys have brought up all night, and is the reason why I'm going to go subscribe to both of your channels as soon as I exit here, is that we really need to be more cognizant of how we're approaching not just these topics, but the people that hold these beliefs, right? Because we are creating, out groups, and we are creating little niches. And I see it all the time when I do jump in the flat earth group, where there are people who join just to stir the pot, who are not good faith. And I can understand why these guys are defensive and feel the need to like, shut down when they see the red flags going up, because they really do deal with it all the time. And I think that it's not unique to them, but I think that, like you guys have said, if we all just take a step back, level up our compassion, and we question our own personal motivations for why we're asking what we're asking, why we're engaging in these conversations and stuff like that, I feel like they'll just be more productive in general.
Agreed. And people, most people are just trying to live their lives. And as you heard a lot of people say, they don't like the thought of people being lied to that they care about. They see something that seems to be very apparent, and they want to offer that kind of clarity to other people. I get it. I'm that's one of the reasons when Pierce was like, "You want to do the flat Earth server? We know somebody." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." That's a group of people who are passionate. But you can tell one thing for sure: flat Earth people are passionate. They take the time to try to uncover as many things as possible because they care. For the most of them, I'm sure there's people who don't care, but to spend all this time trying to uncover secrets for the sake of making righting wrongs and all that stuff, you got to have some sort of deep care for people. Whether or not I'm fully convinced of the proposition, I don't know, but I can totally be on board with the desire to try to make more rights in the world and find things that could potentially be harming people and eliminating them in some way.
No, absolutely.
You're
Pierce,
muted, Mike.
you're muted.
Yeah. Mike, your mic is muted, Pierce.
Yeah, okay, got it. I agree with what both of you said, and I think all of us here, everyone who's spoken here tonight, I think would agree with me that we would like to live in a world where everyone's needs are met. Period. Right? We like what's best for everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, appreciate all the kind words there, Sapphire Scrab.
For sure. And if I can, before we go, just to address the Santa Claus issue. Yeah, I feel like I've had it's a pretty much a universal experience, right? Like my experience is your guys' experience, I'm sure, in that when we were children, Christmas really was magic. It was presents, there was toys, it was love, there was good food, right? The Christmas tree, the presents materializing out of thin air on Christmas morning. All of that stuff was wonderful and amazing, and there wasn't even really a need to question, the validity of Santa or his workshop or his elves or anything like that. That we could just be happy with the products of that. And when we get older, we get a little more cynical. We realize that it wasn't Santa, it was our parents, and that maybe they in an effort to make our days a little bit better, they might have stretched themselves a little too far and caused different problems down the road, right? Spent a little bit too much on Christmas. Maybe they missed work when they should have been, or whatever it is. But as I got older, I came to realize that Santa Claus is very real. I learned about Saint Nicholas, who he's a Christian saint and he's a patron saint of toy making, actually.
That's
so
a neat story. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get through this like fantasy world of childhood. You come through this like cynical realism of adulthood. And then somewhere out there is the real truth that is the foundation of that. And I think that, these conversations are the way to get there. Being productive, being genuine, being open. Because I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was a little suspicious of your motivations, which is why I sat for so long. But I was very pleased to discover that you two are in fact very genuine guys, and I will definitely be checking out your content in the future.
Much appreciated there. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you again for letting me come on.
Yeah, thanks for coming up.
Yeah, thank you. And we have Chase, who is up next.
Chase, he's like a brother to us.
We know Chase. Hey, Chase.
Yo, what's up? I don't want to talk too long. There's other people and stuff. So we can make it like a street epistemology speed round if you want. But Pierce and David are great at asking questions. They've got some really smart questions. The way the street epistemology usually works, like they were saying before, it's not a debate or anything. It's just like an interview, basically, where they're going to be asking, like, I'll make a claim, and they're going to ask me questions, and they'll be polite, and I'll be polite, and there we go. And we'll try to see, what I believe and why, and if I think that the reasons I have are sufficient or not for holding the belief that I hold. Sound good?
Let's do her.
All right, cool. So my claim, I think, is that the Earth is a spheroid or whatever, like round or whatever, globe or whatever we're going with. I'm not a sciencey person, so oblate spheroid or whatever, but and I'm not an expert in this issue. Yeah, that's my claim.
Okay. How confident are you that this is the case?
I'm going to say about a 97%, even though I'm not an expert in this, which sounds problematic a little bit, don't it? Maybe I should, but I think, maybe I should lower it even more, but that's kind of why I've not gone a whole 100% or a whole 99% is because I'm not an expert in this issue or in science in general. I'm smart in some things, I swear, but this ain't one of them.
What got you to this 97 or, somewhere in there percentage?
Yeah, it's I've done a small amount of research on this, in addition to, how we were raised, and stuff like that, but the research I've done more recently, which again was limited, but it seems that the arguments in favor of the opposite proposition that the Earth is flat or whatever, that those don't hold up under scrutiny, and that they're not supported by the scientific consensus. And because I'm not an expert, it's kind of like a doctor. Like, I don't know how to heal a broken arm, but a doctor, not just especially one doctor, but like the mass consensus of experts in that field, they have looked at the research. They know how to interpret the data. I'm not smart enough to do that. If I tried to run my own experiments, the math would be terrible. I'd be spilling things all over the floor. It'd be a mess,
You and me both.
May I ask Chase a question, guys?
Sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, if we can just keep it as polite as possible and in question form, just so that it can say that just because I wanted to keep that street epistemology feel to it.
Oh yeah, no problems at all. So I wanted to ask you, you say that you're 97%. So with that 97%, do you believe that that's a knowledge that supports that 97%, or do you believe that it's a belief of what you've been? Yeah, cool. No worries. And then my second question was, you said 97%, and we get a lot of people talk about percentages. Do you believe that you can actually know something 100%? Can something be known? Or would you say there's always that slight bit of doubt where we can say, oh, look, I know it, but I'm only 99%. Do you think we can ever reach that 100% knowledge and know something?
Hard to say. And, maybe like some, like this could go into a conversation about solipsism and stuff, and I don't really want to do all that. But
No, it was just a simple question. I'm not trying any gotcha moments. I just thought it was an interesting question because we get this a lot in the room as well. And I think it's on the path of where we're at. So I just thought I'd throw that into the mix there. And it's definitely not any sort of gotcha moment. It was just a honest yes or no question.
I don't know. I had to think about it more. I think that there's some things that I think I know that I exist in some realm or another. I think that's something I can know for sure, because in order to be deceived or to be misled or to be wrong, I have to first exist. So Rene Descartes type thing. But aside from that, I'm very provisional in my knowledge claims. That's why I say I have a belief, and it's with a high degree of confidence. But I could be wrong, and something could change my mind.
Yeah, cool. Appreciate your honesty.
Cool.
Do you know a guy called Juggling Lessons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been interviewed on his channel a few times.
That's a cool guy.
Yeah. Like, I talked to him, years and years ago, because I was on another server called the chessboard and the chatterbox and stuff. And I had said that I know the Earth is flat, 100%. If I were to put in a confidence level, there's nothing more I'm more sure of than the Earth being flat. Like, that would be that would be the highest level of confidence. So then he went through this epistemology, asking me a bunch of questions and stuff, and then he ended with that he just can't. He sees what I'm talking about, how it's flat and stationary, and went through all the 3 points. He said, but he knows Newtonian physics too well to be able to accept a flat Earth. And I just asked him, well, what is Newton's hypothesis? Like page 1 of the Principia. And he didn't know that. Yeah, he didn't even know. Either. So I'm saying, how can you boast that you know Newtonian physics so well that you've ruled out flat Earth and you haven't even got past page 1?
Crit, I have a question for you real quick, if y'all don't mind. I would, you say for 100%. I guess the thing that I'm curious of is like the methods you're using seem consistent to you. I mean, you're saying that the methods seem good, but the methods are being used on limited information. I mean, there could be more Earth that you don't know about, right? There could be more environments that you haven't been able to test it in. I mean, I'd say you're 100% in your methods, maybe, but there still seems some wiggle room for new information.
For me, so what would be? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I don't mean to
You
interrupt.
go ahead, sir.
No, he asked you a question or whatever.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd say it'd have to be some breaking the mold then. There'd have to be something so earth shattering, so so paradigm shifting that it would break basically what they said, like the moon mission. A giant leap forward for mankind, a small step for man. Something that paradigm shifting. But Carl Sagan said it best, that it was the most ironic token of human history. This giant leap forward, a new renaissance, that Nixon declares world peace because of a moon mission, as he systematically carpet bombed third world countries in Southeast Asia. He said it was that's where I would see like something like that actually followed through. Like they said, hey, we encountered extraterrestrial life in like the movie Arrival, and they taught us how to communicate with time in the fourth dimension. Something like that would be so paradigm shifting, so earth shattering, that would really change the way everyone views the world and each other.
And I'll tell you, bro. Like, if you like, I'm open minded in the sense that like I've changed my mind 1,000 times. I've been wrong, more than that. So like, if anybody wants to send me some info, go ahead and send it in a private message. That's fine. I'll take a look. I look at whatever anybody sends me because I want to learn. Even if I'm, but I have a high standard of evidence. Like I'm a skeptic, just meaning that like I'll change my mind if given ample evidence, but. It can't just be like, some random article off the internet that anybody could have wrote kind of thing.
Well, here's an example for me with the paradigm shift that shattered the globe being 100%. Is that when someone asks you a question that is true, if globe, but it can't be true. And one of those things was that America is exceptional. God bless America. America put men on the moon. No country can even touch that. The level of technical and scientific achievement by America is unsurpassed by anyone else.
Yeah, maybe.
And then then when you look at that is a false statement. You've got basically like pseudoscience going on at the federal executive level, like the taser, the less than lethal taser.
Hold on. I feel like we're talking about too many different things at once, and like we got to focus the conversation a little bit and like have a little bit of a back and forth, if that's all right. So like, I guess I'm just trying to say that like, you guys can send me information, I'll look at it, but like again, I'm probably not going to be able to understand it, and it'd probably take me decades to be able to get smart enough to understand it. I have to like do so much studying and stuff. And what would be more impacting though is if the scientific community, the consensus of experts in the fields that we're discussing all came out and said, or the majority of them said, yeah, no, flat earth, dude, we've been lied to, and but they're not saying that, and that's why I'm stuck.
See, this is the part you're missing. It wasn't too long ago that all the geneticists said that they believed in a thing called anti-miscegenation, and they passed laws throughout America saying that if you mix the races, you'll create a subhuman mongrel class. And that would be an underlining criminal element in America. They all agreed. They all agreed to that.
Here's a question I'd like you guys.
They made it was criminal to marry outside your race. So what you're looking for is that these geneticists went to the grave believing this. It took other people to change that. So what you're saying is, will these people ever admit that they're wrong? No. They'll never concede. They'll never admit they're wrong. They'll go to their deathbed.
Okay, well, that's interesting to me that they would do that. I don't know what their reasoning would be for so many like independent researchers to like, but in any case, I think it'd be good if David and Pierce finish up with their questions with me, and then there might be somebody else that has their hand up.
Chase is a very passionate person, Crit, and I imagine you are as well. And so you guys will probably have a lot of energy you can spend with each other sometime soon, probably, it sounds like. But I'm looking at Pierce's eyes. He's losing it. He's about to fall out.
Yeah, it's getting late here.
It's almost 1:00 for me, and I could definitely use some sleep soon. So I'd like to Chase, let's chat with you a little bit soon.
Okay, sounds good.
And
Thanks for having me.
we'll hit these other
And
people.
and
Yep.
thank you to the group for allowing us to have this. Like I don't usually come in here, a lot because it's like sounds pretty debatey and stuff like that. But Street Epistemology is how I found this, and so I'm interested in learning more. And thanks for having us.
Yeah, Chase, feel free to come in anytime and have a discussion or listen in, mate, or welcome here anytime. Yeah. All right. And next we have Nicholas.
Oh shoot, that's me.
Hey.
That's you, Nicholas.
What's going on, you guys?
What's good?
All right, I'll try to be quick.
Appreciate
Like just for the heads up. I think that it's typically more like about like our own views and not like other people's views of like trying to bring down other people's kind of viewpoints. So I'll try to like kind of keep it a little bit more about my viewpoints.
Thank you.
I think that one of the things that happened, and you guys could critique me as much as you want, AJ, like go for it, like go hammer me. Pierce, same here, 2-day David. So I haven't taken enough like classes in astronomy, physics, mathematics. I wish I've taken more. Like I was close to an associate's degree in them, and I may get one in like the next year or something. And even like a lot of one of the tricky parts I see with regards to it's not just like that there's a belief that the earth is flat. There's also a lot of other things that like are against like what are like basic foundational ideas in astronomy or basic foundational ideas in physics that are questioned along with it. So it ends up being like that's why sometimes it gets called a conspiracy theory by people. I know like people that believe in the flat earth get like upset about that.
Do you have an
But,
example?
Yeah, like so for example, like gravity was like that was denied, and that's a pretty foundational, like fundamental force. That's Einstein and Newton. These are the two biggest, most famous physicists of all time, and that's a pretty foundational idea. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
May I clear something up maybe for you and the audience in regards to gravity? Because we've heard that claim quite a few times. So we're not denying the effects of gravity. Like Pierce did earlier, he dropped his pen and it went down on the desk, yeah?
Mhm.
We don't deny that effect. That's something that we all see every day. But the claim that's on the table is that gravity is a scientific theory. Okay, so
Sure.
now when we try to put this through the scientific method and science, we would disagree that it's a scientific theory, and we would disagree on the cause that's presented. So when people come in and say, hey, you're denying gravity, everyone gets this idea that we're not denying the cause, we're denying the effect, we're denying everything, yeah, as gravity as a whole. But I would say, no, we're not doing that. We all understand the effect. We just don't necessarily agree with what's proposed as the cause, being the bending and warping of a concept, being space-time.
What
Yeah,
you
and
can do here, Nicholas, use your brain. Okay, you don't need to study this. Okay, your brain is going to calculate physics down to the microsecond. You move your body through space. You get up to go to the bathroom to get a glass of water. Everything you do, jump up in the air, clap your hands, operate a motor vehicle. And every time your body's constantly doing second by second physics calculations faster than any computer will ever do. They can't even get close to that. Okay. You are an expert. No, you are an expert in physics. You just do it at an innate level. So I would challenge you to say, Ed, do you use the curve or the rotation of Earth for anything you're going to do today? Any physics your body's going to do. You're going to get up from your desk. You're going to do whatever you're going to do. Go play catch with a dog. Anything you do, will you account for curve or rotation?
Yeah, so I'm like an ant. Like I'm pretty small, like in comparison to the size of the Earth. That's at least in the globe model. If you do it by that, so that's why we don't need to take into account the curvature, because if I'm going to overestimate and round up my height, it's going to be 2 meters, right? By estimates, like the Earth is going to be like 20,000 kilometers. That's like 5 orders of magnitude, 6 orders of magnitude larger than me. So that's why you can't like necessarily like everything looks flat to us. But with regards to the main point, like some parts of physics aren't intuitive. Like some parts, like yeah, like I've taken the like a calc-based mechanics course, right? That part of it, yeah, like I mean, it's actually like it feels a little intuitive. You could like kind of picture a lot of these things. Like, all right, there's like a box, there's gravity, there's this force that's acting on it. Like you could do that a little bit with it, but then that's it's like it doesn't become intuitive at all. Like electromagnetism, like you get into it and it's hard to visualize what's kind of going on. Like the quantum mechanics, it gets incredibly difficult to visualize what's going on. So there's a lot of like physics that's not intuitive, in my opinion. But like in general, like I think that the people that are in the like the flat Earth community, I think that they would have a little bit more credibility if they like studied physics and astronomy and mathematics a little bit more seriously, because a lot of the times, like I see people like they have like Googled these topics. They have like gone about it as like an auto what is that thing like when you try to self learn something? The
Autodidactic.
yeah, if they've gone about it in that sense. And the problem with when you do that in any field, it's not just with regards to physics or astronomy, is that you could end up with like wrong conclusions and you can make kind of like amateur mistakes as you're going along with it. Then this could happen in psychology, this could happen in anthropology, it could happen in pretty much any field. Biology, doesn't matter, you know, especially in with today with the internet being the way that it is. So like I think that that could be one way that there could be a little bit more credibility is like someone in here like mentioned that they were like a I think they have a master's degree in architecture and they teach at a college. That's all great, but you could be an expert in one other field and be totally off base when it comes to another field as well. So I mean,
Sure.
like you can know a lot
Yeah.
about architecture and then like not know a lot
I hear
about
you,
biology.
Nicholas.
But yeah,
Yeah,
anyway, long
I hear
story
your
short,
point. We're
I'm
starting to
yapping.
say it a few times in different ways now.
Yeah, I'm yapping. All right, take care, you guys. That's all I wanted to say.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
Sorry to cut
no
you
worries.
off. Just sleep is important sometimes.
No worries,
Yeah,
no worries.
cool, Nick.
Take care, you guys.
So, guys, we've got one more. Well, look,
I want to say one quick thing real quick. I think that one of the things that Chris said is that we have an attribution. We have definitional and attribution differences. The people who are talking in a lot of ways, like the effect is there. Like we understand that things fall. We understand that we gotta the way we drive, the way we fly. I mean, we can do these things. and-
Okay.
fast as I could, guys.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
hit
he
my
waited
panic
almost
button
3
quickly,
hours
too.
to do that.
3 hours.
Yeah. Will you be able to clip that out of your stream or?
Yeah, I think
He,
Okay.
yeah.
so.
Do you want someone else just queued up, or do you want to just do closing statements and end it?
Yeah, let's get this plane on the ground here.
Yeah, sorry, Catholic. You just came in a little bit late there, buddy.
We'll try to catch you on the
Well,
next
you know
one.
what? Sure. Let's.
Oh, you ready?
Let's do it.
You want to do it?
Yeah.
All right, Catholic. Put
But
you
I'm
up on
putting my hand
stage.
on my finger on my panic button.
Yep.
All right, buddy. How you doing? You're muted.
Hello, fellas. Are you all flat earthers or are you against flat earthers?
I was
David
born
and
yesterday. I don't know anything. No, yeah, we're more or less ambivalent. We just go ahead, Pierce. I'll let you answer for yourself.
I have a confidence that the Earth is a globe, but I'm interested in hearing other perspectives. Why it's important. Why either the shape of the Earth is important to you, and how you came to that conclusion.
Now, are you guys believers in God or are you atheists?
I'm an agnostic atheist.
Yeah, same.
Oh, okay.
I could be a deist.
So then
maybe.
so then you don't really have an argument against flat Earth, right?
Well, help us have one, like, or help us understand, like imagine
Yeah,
I'm born
because
yesterday here, because
yeah, with regards to anything that you perceive to exist in your atheistic, agnostic worldview, it could all just be illusionary, right? So I
could.
mean, the Earth being a sphere could just be illusionary, and it could be flat.
It's very true. That it could be the case. How can I figure it out?
Yeah, you can come to accept the one true God, whereby He revealed the truth of what is, whereby in the atheistic worldview you have no grounding for any truth.
Sure. How's he reveal? How do we find out?
Yeah, so He revealed through general revelation, where He went ahead and wrote His existence, made it known to us in our conscious that He exists. Also through natural revelation, by that which He created, all of creation itself, and divine revelation, also called special revelation, where He spoke through His prophets, came down as Himself as Jesus Christ, disseminated information to His church, and Holy Scripture.
And how do I know when something is from that God or not from the God? Or this is a big
Yeah, well,
conversation.
Sure. Everything is from God with regards to creation itself. There couldn't be any fact that could exist if there was no God. So, in order for anything to be, it would have to be because there is God.
Can I throw out a hypothetical?
Sure.
I got this buddy. His name's Alan. He's a really nice guy. He actually is an alien. Came from somewhere in outer space. And he just arrived here. Doesn't know anything about humans, Earth. No human beliefs whatsoever. Just came down. He wants to know if a God exists or doesn't exist. He's never heard of this concept before. What's the best way that he can figure it out?
Well, I don't believe there's any aliens out there. So I would have to say that it's a demon that is speaking to you or whatever. Because the thing is, there's only one God, and that's the Christian God. And He came in to our world and took on a human nature. He didn't become a Klingon or a Vulcan or anything like that, or a zillion other type of creatures. He only took on a human nature. So that means that there's only mankind, with regards to being made in God's image, having the intelligence whereby we can conceive of good and evil.
Imagine
so
Alan
that's
is
what
a person
separates us.
who lost his memory and has amnesia.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, then I'd go ahead and I'd explain to him the Christian God. I'd explain the gospel to him that the Holy Triune God is the God that exists, and I'd tell him, with regards to divine revelation, in natural revelation of God, and with regards to divine revelation, the gospel itself, whereby God came down to earth, became man, and still existed as God at the same time, and
This is a
that
lot
He
of
lived a
things to
perfect life.
This is hard to start from the very beginning. This is a lot of things that you're saying to this guy who has amnesia. Like, I mean, how is he supposed to even know to where to start with that? I mean, you're making a lot of claims here.
Well, I mean, amnesia doesn't make you stupid. You still understand the English language. You still have, comprehension and intelligibility skills and so forth.
How would he use those
So,
skills?
are you saying he's mentally retarded?
I'm saying that he doesn't have the framework. I mean, because he could walk into 6 different people. He could run into a Hindu, a Muslim, a Mormon, and all these people are saying there's general and divine revelation, stuff like that. What steps would he take to come to a flat Earth? No, we're skipping another step, but.
Oh, I don't believe in flat
How you
Earth.
calling at the end of the show with such a big topic like this?
Yeah, I don't believe in flat Earth. I believe the Earth is spherical. But I'm just saying that in your atheistic, agnostic worldview, you have no justification to say that the Earth is either a sphere or flat.
It's true. I can't justify anything. I'm hopeless. I'm walking around blind.
You can't
I'm
even
trying to get help
justify.
here.
Yeah, you can't even justify your claim that you're speaking to me right now in Discord in your
It's
atheistic.
true. I'm probably
agnostic
dreaming right
worldview.
now. could be an illusion.
Yeah.
Yep. I have no axioms, I guess, unless.
But listen, guys, if you want to discuss this further, I know this is a whole flat Earth thing. Come on over to the Theus experience, the voice chat called the Theus experience, and
Sure.
you could discuss it with us further.
Yeah, I'd love to chat about this sometime soon. I'm looking at Pierce. He's like, we both got
Yeah.
kids, and we're not to say much about your personal life, but I mean, we need sleep.
Well, I was going to say, you guys are having an after show, aren't you? Or have you
I
pulled out
know.
of
We're
that
trying
one?
to.
It's gonna be a short
What you
one.
call it about that? It's a short
Very
one.
short.
A very short one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool, guys. I really appreciate you coming in here. Thanks for coming to Politics and coming into the 24/7 server. And I think the show went really well in the end and overall. And we'd be very happy to have you back at any other time.
I appreciate that, AJ, and Crit. Thanks for your help as well. And I mean, you guys had to sound like you had a little fun chiming in too. So it was a little different for us in that way, but I think we ended up with an interesting dynamic with it.
Yeah, I think it worked out really well. So like next time, like we can bring it in and try to make it more like not more structured, but like say, hey, what is your answer to why this topic's important? And then how do you know flat or curved or flat?
Yeah.
And so that
we
way
won't
people
have as many technical difficulties next time, hopefully, and we'll be
Yeah.
able to be
say
a
this
little
isn't an
more
argument. This is just like
creative.
you talking about your lived experience and how you want to how you want people to hear you and understand you.
Yeah. You're getting it. That's a critical hit right there.
Thank you.
All right. I guess without further ado, I'm going to roll the outro on YouTube. And while that plays, I'm going to drop the link to the after show on YouTube. And I already put that link right in the chat here. So if anyone wants to join the after show, you'll have to click it before we actually end here. Because when we end here, it's going to go away. Same for YouTube. So you got to actually click it right now in order for this to, to actually get there. So feel free to click it right now. Anybody in the audience who's interested in the after show or in the server in general, that's kind of the method that we were using, the conversational method we were using for the show today. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. And yeah, time for that. You have any last words, anybody, before we end it?
Yeah, I did grab the link to your server and I did post it on our server, and and also I'm on there too, and I made another link. Someone DM me if you missed the link, I can send it to you.
Okay. Yep. Same for me.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Yourself.
Thanks, everybody.
Cool. Thank you.